You, me, and a mid-season patch notes. Mid-season. The Divine Uprising. That looks cool. Cool skin. Sure. Decent. Oh, okay.
Welcome in, everybody. It's finally here.
Wow, that's
it's the
loud.
mid-season
Wow,
patch
that's loud.
notes.
Wow,
and
that's loud.
Trust
Wow,
me,
that's
it's going to
loud.
be
Wow.
awesome. My packet is really thick
Okay, that
this
was
time.
so
Got a lot
loud.
of stuff stored. Okay, thank you, Hindu
wow,
Man. Already
okay.
off to a roaring start here on the
There we go.
mid-season patch.
Now they're
got a
turned
lot
on.
of different,
Wow.
Project Olympus
Okay.
updates you guys have been asking for.
Wow.
An absolute ton of God balance, new items, item balance, and some of the best skins we've
Okay.
released in a while, and that's saying a lot. And let's
Yeah,
start
they
there,
definitely had
shall
those
we?
mics a little
the
bit
first
loud.
one that you
Woo!
guys are going to get a chance to see, Plushie Ganesh. Yeah.
Dang.
Are you serious? Are you serious? This is part of the
Dang.
fall season ticket bundle. As if the season ticket wasn't good enough, now you can get the fall season ticket.
That's nice.
And this Plushie Ganesh skin. Give me a break. This is insane.
Hold up, and he's in the running for a tier 5 too.
I know.
And
Just
he's in the running
unbelievable.
for a tier
All right,
5.
next
Why
skin,
is
you already got a
Ganesh
bit of
up
a
for a
preview
tier
for that.
5?
Hellscape Kernan.
Oh,
This one part of the
that's
Divine
gross.
Uprising event. You'll get a.
That's
This
nasty.
is part of the Voodoo portion. You're gonna want to get all of these Voodoo chests skins because the Baron Samedi skin that you get whenever it's
Okay.
completed. You're gonna see that in just a minute. It's really good. I mean, you already can kind of see it in the in-game
Cool
UI,
skins?
I suppose, but it's really good.
skins?
Trust me.
The
Hellscape
skins are
Kernan.
always
Next up,
cool.
Nightbane
Their art
Jingwei is
department's
also
great.
part
Let's be real.
of the Divine
We don't
Uprising.
want. We're not here for
event.
skins.
This
We're here
Jingwei looks
for
like her
fixing the
job is
game.
to slay the
I
ever
get it.
living.
Your art department's amazing. They all deserve a raise.
Kind of a
We
really
get it.
cool, darker version of
We
Jingwei.
get it.
Normally very bright and bubbly. Here she's got her hood up, and that means business for her. That's a really cool skin. Cherry Bomb Soul is next up. This is a season ticket reward.
God, their art
This
department
one
is
looking
good.
really cool. Kind of a
Dang.
skater.
It's like a
Cherry Bomb
It's like
Soul.
a human soul.
I'm excited about this
Interesting.
skin. Soul is one of my one of the gods that I've been
Oh,
playing a little bit more.
what?
I bet you're excited about this skin.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
said that before I saw this.
Oh
saw
my
the
video.
goodness.
Don't put that evil on me. Okay.
Holy
Cherry Bomb
cow.
Soul is part of that season ticket reward. Pup
Okay.
Patrol Cerberus. If you thought we were done
Whoa,
with the cute
my
skins this
goodness.
patch, you were wrong.
That's where it's
This
at.
is
Forget
another
about
skin
the
that I just
titties,
cannot
dude. It's
wait
all
for.
about
Oh,
the
look,
doggies.
A little Baron action in the background there.
Hey, you were in
Oh
that shot as well.
man,
Was I?
Yeah.
Was it a squirrel that you're referring to?
No.
that's where it's at.
Nice one, Hindu man. Using up all of your originality off the bat.
Who's
Careful,
a
you might
good
wanna
boy?
meter that.
Who's
Look
a
at
good
that
boy?
guy. He's got a bow tie. Look, it's the Hindu man one. Do you think that head's a savage?
The snake. That was really funny.
Yeah, I think he is. Geek Beak Thoth.
Oh my
This
goodness,
one
the
is
skins
so
don't
cool.
stop.
Anna, yep. Anna did a lot of stuff for this. She's been
They
doing a lot
don't
of
stop.
cool
Holy.
Smite gods and this sort of
Holy
style. And
freaking
how it's
bow ties
like
are
one
cool
of
again.
the
Stop.
game. Yeah, two
I'm
bow
gonna
tie
start wearing
skins.
them.
Come on, what is this? Geek Beak Thoth. Ooh, look
It's
at
a
the little
good
bricks.
skin.
I'm really excited to see what this skin has. to
Where's
offer.
Devil so
I
he
just
can
love
play
the-
this skin and
the
then
hipster
spam our
aesthetic,
calculated
This
emote,
guy
dude.
definitely
Holy.
drinks craft juice boxes. Final skin on the patch today, Half-Life Baron Samedi. This is your reward for finishing the Voodoo portion
My
of the
goodness.
Divine Uprising event. You've already seen the card art, but man, those effects look good. Baron has been in your games everywhere. I'm sure of that. At least he's been in all of mine. And at least he'll beat you up in style now. You know, it could be worse. Also, he might not be quite as good whenever this skin
Right.
comes out. Bit of a
It's kind of
spoiler
a
for
compared
what's
to all the
coming
other skins
in
so
the
far.
God
That's
balance section
that's
of this
seeming
patch.
real.
Those are
meh.
all the skins,
Real,
and that
meh.
is literally just scratching the surface of what we've got during this mid-season patch update. So let's just get right into it. Then I'm joined here on the casual
Ta-da.
set by the peanut gallery of Hindu Man over in the
Ajax,
corner
Hindu,
there,
and
but also
Pod and Agro.
design extraordinaires. AJ
It's a
and
power
Pon Pon.
panel.
Guys. I'm not even gonna ask you how you're feeling because we gotta move.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get
we gotta,
started.
This
we gotta
packet
get moving.
is
So
really huge.
much
Yeah.
things to talk about.
Big
Oh, wait,
pack.
I want to confirm
Big
the
pack
air
of those
conditioning
stuff.
is on for this mid-season patch.
Oh, that
Thank
was
you.
that'll be
Shout
nice.
outs to a year ago in Valencia.
We survived.
I had a great time.
That was
being
rough.
with you,
Great
Henry, man.
time.
That was fun.
That was fun, but we're much more comfortable here. Not only air conditioning, but couches and the like.
And
So let's get
couches.
into it. Project Olympus is where we're going to
Okay.
start. we got a new commendation system coming into Smite.
Yeah, so we actually have some really cool things come in. Project Olympus, making the game a little bit better for everyone. The commendation system. So we've amped up really recently on banning people who have been reported, making sure that we keep the gameplay nice and smooth and positive. But we also haven't really done anything before where we really promoted positivity. So commendation is a way to do that. So at the end of your match lobby, players will be able to actually vote on everyone else, either if they were a guide, if they had good teamwork, if they were just friendly in general, and give them points. And those points can actually be converted into rewards as you progress through the month, and every month that will reset. So it's just a nice way to be like, hey, you were really friendly in this game. I liked you. Gonna give you some points so you can get maybe a chest or a Team Skin booster or a godlike chest at the max reward.
So instead of the, hey, we're going to ban you if you're mean, which we'll still do, don't get me wrong. But it's more of like a, hey, be nice. And
4 years too late on this system.
It seems like here I'm also reading that you can also just gain some of these points by playing with 100% goodwill.
Yes, so we also have some goodwill reworks going in because that's already kind of one of our existing systems that promotes positivity. Right. It will contribute towards their points. So if you're at 100%, you actually get that. And then we have some goodwill reworks coming in later down on this show flow.
So you get, can you just give us a little bit of a preview of what you could get from being a good player?
So one thing you can get from being a good player is the Team Skin boosters at 300 points. You can get the Champions chest, which is the Triumphant chest that is one of the higher tier ones at 450. And at 600, you just get an extra godlike chest, which has a really high chance to give you really cool skin or a lot of cool content inside of it. As well as we also have yearly rewards coming up.
That's cool.
So not only do we have the monthly commendation system rewards, but if you remain unbanned for the entirety of Season 5, we're going to be tracking that starting at 513. So people who maybe weren't so good at the year start of the season get a little bit of a break.
Okay.
This is now your chance.
Yes.
If you get all the way through the whole year, you will actually be able to get a whole bunch of additional content.
It's like a Goodwill shop.
We have a skin coming out for you that's only exclusive to us. We have a loading frame,
you
we
can
have
have
a
a skin.
we have a chibi avatar, and we have a global emote that are
Honestly,
entirely generated
it's not a terrible idea.
That's really cool.
It's
You're taking
not
a look right
a
now
terrible
on your screen
idea.
about the commendation that you can get. Nice little new post-game screen here.
Yeah, so it's a new post-game screen. It'll be up for like 10 seconds, or if you vote, you can just kind of go through it. It'll show people like their loading frames, who they were. A little nice thing about them, so like top kills, least damage taken, most gold. And then when you hover over them, you're able to select if they were teamwork, a guide, or friendly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is there a limit to how many people you can vote on to give them positive reviews?
No, you can vote for your whole team. The only limit is you can only... we track who you vote for every day, so you can only vote for a person once a day.
That's what I'm checking.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
I'm checking abuse cases.
No party up hacks. No party up hacks.
Yeah,
you
no
gotta
party-
play with new people and keep getting commended by new people. You can't just vote for your friends. You can't just 5-man queue and vote for your friends over and over again.
Yeah, this person was really nice, even though they were yelling at me all the time, and in our voice comms. You know what I mean? A little bit different there.
Playing with
Man,
Chapo.
I was looking at you, but yeah, Chapo.
Oh,
we
right,
gave-
me. Okay, yeah.
We gave a
but
shout
that's
out to this, but this is replacing FP tipping, really. So FP tipping is gone. This is what's going to be here. Is a whole new set of rewards, different stuff, and so it's a lot more robust system. Like, we're worrying about the break cases and
No
we're
more
giving
fantasy
people long-term
point
and
and
short-term
gifting.
goals.
Not like anybody
and
ever
it just
used
breaks
that
up the
anyway.
match lobby a little bit. So like when you're heated from the match, you get this extra screen. You get to kind of think about how things went instead of rushing right to chat.
Right.
And even just subtle things like that can really impact players' behavior. And we just want everyone to be nice. Just try to be a little
Game
nicer
ends.
to each other.
And
so.
you said that the yearly rewards includes like an exclusive skin and that kind of stuff.
Now you
so
got
if
10
if
seconds to
that
think.
person selects that god and is like, "Yo, where's
should
your
insult his
your nice
mother
person skin?" They're
instead.
like,
It's a better way
I
to
don't
go
have
with
it. You're like, "Oh boy."
Can we get a bad
yeah.
person skin out? Is that allowed?
No,
We don't want to
that's
reward.
encouraging poor behavior. Of
course not.
Hindu man.
Okay.
Come
Worth
on
a
now.
try.
Yeah, fair enough.
You get
I
a very
suppose.
exclusive skin, but you can't use your account. It's a win.
You get a vacation from Smite. Is your
Precisely.
reward.
Yeah,
a 7-day vacation.
Right, exactly.
If you're bad.
So we
Saturday
also
vacation.
reporting and that kind of stuff will still obviously be a big part of
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to
of course.
police, the
Yeah,
player
reporting.
base.
The
What
button that
kind of
doesn't
changes do we have
exist
there?
right now.
So one of the
in
big things
Smite.
we have changing there is we actually have a whole bunch of backend tracking that we have now implemented into the game. So we can actually monitor what players are doing throughout the whole game. And why this is not obviously perfect, right? Because we're not in the game, we can't see exactly what's going on.
Sure.
A lot of these metrics are able to kind of give us a good idea of who might be maybe intentionally feeding or leaving the game and AFKing or just be negative as a whole. And so we can actually be like, hey, this person we think might have been bad. Do you want to report them and make sure that this gets tracked? So we actually have new player prompt reporting. So if we detect someone might have been doing something bad, we'll kind of highlight them and be like, hey, this person might have been bad. You might want to report them. And that really gives us the extra tools for the support team to really start tackling these people. Because the biggest impact we have to actually ban players is the more and more reports they get.
Now the
It's
game
easier
is
to track them,
telling
easier
you
to see
who
the big
to
case,
report.
of where they need to be banned or what behavior they were doing. So it just speeds everything up.
Right, and
You
even
seem to
though
have had a
we're
streamer
focusing
in your
more
game.
on
Would you
the
like to
positive
report?
and
Yes.
trying to encourage you to be good, we are cracking down a little bit, it feels like, on
yeah.
those players who
Yes.
are being bad.
We are. So, the biggest flaw with the report system is players don't use it all the time. Like we get tweets and posts about like this player was terrible, and we go check the history they were, and they've only been reported a few times. People just don't use the feature enough. So we're adding this thing to help remind you about it, but only in cases where we think it's merited or it might be. And of course, we're using the stats to track this, so it might be wrong sometimes too. So if you get prompted, you sure don't need to use it.
Sure.
It's a subtle reminder. And we're also trying to we're doing more support on our back end. The hi-rez support team is getting more tools to help them do their jobs better, more efficiently. And they're going to be doing more frequent passes and looking through the player base to look at these problem cases and send out punishments.
All right, great. That's going to be a lot of fun. And, and
Punish
excited
me,
about that.
hi-rez,
Another thing I'm excited for, bit of a throwback to the past. We've got timed queues coming back.
Yeah, so this is the other big feature in Project Olympus this patch is the
Lord.
matching changes.
Okay.
Matchmaking changes,
Lord.
probably one of the most asked for things in all of Smite.
Yep.
Not just Smite, games in general, multiplayer games, across the entire industry, matchmaking is hard.
Yes.
So we just got to get out there and say this before we even go into the changes.
I play a lot of games. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in any game I play say matchmaking in this game is really good.
No,
like literally
never. So we are making some changes, some bold changes, some unique things that other games don't do to try to work to cater to our specific player base. We're not claiming this is just going to solve everything. We're not claiming that we fixed an industry problem that gigantic companies for history of gaming have not solved.
Right.
We just fixed it. No, that's not the case. But we are implementing specific features that we think work really well in Smite.
Bold strategy.
And gonna better fit the way players play Smite. So timed queues are coming back. We've actually done this way back in the day, but that was a very different Smite at that time. So
very much so.
I wouldn't really think of it as coming back. This is a very new feature to the way Smite works. For those of you who don't know what this is that queues, you won't just click play and wait for the timer to pop. Now you will see before you click play when the queue is going to fire, when the match is going to start. You'll be able to see all of the game modes and all of their times. They'll be staggered, so they're firing at different times. So some players will just go for the shortest ones. Someone will go for the ones they always want to go for and just wait. The timer will count down. Then you will get a match to accept prompt. You click accept, and you'll be entered into the pool for matchmaking, and then the matchmaking starts. So it waits until it gets everybody it can get from the time, and then it starts putting the teams together. So there'll be a secondary timer, a 20-second timer, where you'll get UI feedback, but that's when the matching is taking place. So there's a couple advantages to this. One is that you can miss the queue pop, and it doesn't matter,
right?
Because matchmaking hasn't started yet. If you just don't make the time, no one cares. No deserter.
Oh, cool. That's really good.
You can you were taking a little too long in the kitchen. So you knew you had exactly 5 minutes, but you didn't make it back.
Right.
It's fine. No one cares because the matchmaker will just not put you in the pool, and it'll take everybody else.
Okay.
So then it'll take all the players it gets and set them into matches. And one of the things it does, ideally, is it can really start from the top and work its way down and make sure that we really pool together the players who are strongest.
1 through 10, 11 through
so
20.
The old matchmaking system was really
30
good for maybe the average player. But the average player, there's lots of average players, and it's not that hard to match them. So this system, we think, will be better for the very high-end players, the smaller population that cares a lot more about matchmaking, right?
Sure.
So I think those are the key features of this. There's a lot more systems. I'm not going to get really into it. If you miss, if there's 99 people in the queue, some of you will get rolled over to the next queue, but you'll have higher priority to guarantee to get matched the next time. If you're an odd man out or your party doesn't accept a lot of similar stuff as you're used to being requeued.
What's the queue timer going to be? Do we know the
So
rough
the
time?
queue timers are different for every queue.
Right.
We are not publishing those directly in patch notes all listed out, but you'll be able to see those in PTS.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And in 5.13 launch, they are increased based on match popularity and size.
Right.
Yes.
And they're all staggered from each
In
other.
other words,
and we
arena
very likely
queue
won't
is
make
going to
changes
be
them.
very
So it's
short.
something
The
like,
rank Conquest is still going to be a long.
Joust and
So
Arena,
Arena
Joust and
might be
Arena
quicker,
are 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
Conquest is 4 or 5 minutes. Ranked modes are 10 to 12 minutes. Something. They don't actually have ranges. I just don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Just to see if they were different. That's all I asked.
Yes.
Right.
So they are they are different. Some of them will be
Incon
longer.
knows how this works.
Siege will be on a longer one.
Right.
Just a slightly less played mode.
Incon knows about
But
Smite.
what this should do is really group up players in a more efficient way, since Smite is such a multi-mode game.
Multi-mode.
This will change the way players queue for matches. So
Yeah, I really love that idea of you click accept and then you get entered into matchmaker, because I remember back when I was playing with the old time queues, you would you'd be like, oh, I got in with 5 seconds left, but then the matchmaker didn't have time to put you in the right game, and you'd either miss the queue because of that, or the game would get weird. This seems like that'll bring down those sorts of cases at least a little bit.
And that's deserters too for missing the queues.
Yeah, there was no such thing as queue deserter anymore.
Right.
Only lobby deserter, which of course you should not do.
Right,
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Definitely don't.
But that's the only thing.
If they get first pick Baron, I'm not playing.
Let's see. Is there anything I missed about it? It's like the real thing is it's a really tangible change.
Yeah.
So we've been making changes in the background. We've been optimizing our system, the way
It's a
way
good
Elo
change.
and MMR is tracked, the way the matchmaker decides.
They mentioned that they were
going to
do this like what, a month, 2 months ago. They're finally
We've been
doing
changing
it.
that
It's
stuff in
needed
the
to be
back
done
end.
for a long
The players
time. It's a
don't
good
really
change.
feel
Good job.
that.
Right.
And they
won't
still
take it
get
away
one
from them.
bad
It's a good
match and
change,
get on
and it's
social
needed.
media.
I mean, it needed to happen
So
2 years
this
ago.
is something that the
but
whole player base is going to feel.
That's a
It's
whole
gonna feel
different issue.
different.
It's here.
We want them to know that we
Good
really
stuff.
are trying to solve this problem through all sorts of innovative ways.
All right. Well, that's not the only sort of changes to matchmaking or queues that we've got. We've also got changes to the ranked conquest that we talked a little bit about, kind of previewed a little bit ago, but we are taking away parties from ranked conquest.
Yep.
You've got a solo queue.
also
Solo
needed
only
to happen.
ranked conquest. Yes.
For a
This
long
is
time.
specifically when paired with the time queues has the highest
Has to
chance
happen.
to make the
Otherwise, it
best
messes up
matches.
matchmaking too hard.
So, like I said,
Too
I'm
hard.
not going to claim that everything's going to be perfect. We're trying to make a lot of improvements that we
duo
want to
queues
hear everyone's
really
feedback.
messed up ranked
We've been
matchmaking,
communicating
like-
really closely
like
with
on
pros
a
and streamers.
royal level.
We want to see how this goes.
Yeah.
We're going to be
Because of
watching really
elos.
closely.
Yep.
But with solo only and timed queues, that means when that queue fires, the top 10 players should be in the same match together every time. And with parties, that could cause people to shift around. You
Right.
would get a lot of cases where pros would be like, oh, I'm the one pro who didn't get in the match.
Yeah.
And there's some no name in there. There still might be no names in there. Those guys are good, though.
Those guys are
Yeah.
good though.
So
If
you
they're
got
in
to
there,
play with them.
they
Turn
turn
10.
Just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not good.
Right.
But yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see that. And the pros are going to, and the high ranked players are going to get a little more indicator of who's top.
Right.
Whether or
Okay.
not their TP value says that, but they'll know who's top because they'll be in the games together.
That's awesome. I'm really
Yeah.
excited about that. Also, ranked joust, you can still party there, correct?
Just a clarification.
Yes.
3v3 is still allowed there. That seems to be most of the way people play the mode anyway.
Right.
So if you want to play
3v3
ranked joust, I
ranked,
highly
you can
recommend
still-
getting
there
the
you
crew
go.
together before you
You
queue
can
it.
still party
But,
in
you know,
your
if you want to go
joust, but not in
solo,
your
still
conquest.
fun to do.
Yeah. All right.
makes
So
sense.
just some
Which
clarification
makes sense.
there.
That
A
would've
little
been
bit of a
ridiculous
difference
if
on
you
the
couldn't
match
joust queue
forgiveness as
together.
well coming up with regards to that early surrender rules.
Yeah, so the big thing here is we actually are going to change early surrender a little bit to make it a little bit more useful in more cases. Before, it really cared about if a person disconnected before the match even started. Now we're actually going to allow it to also track for the first 3 minutes if a person disconnects.
good.
So there's a little bit of a
Also,
window where if
ranked
someone
joust or
disconnects
ranked,
early
duel.
on,
You
not
can
necessarily right
surrender at
before the
5
match
now
starts,
instead of 10,
you'll
which
still
is
have the
great.
ability to early surrender.
Great.
And then early surrender is actually going to impact ranked modes more directly. If you early surrender, the team that actually had an early surrender, they won't lose any TP. We're going to give TP forgiveness.
Oh, okay.
So you have to successfully surrender early
Yes.
for the TP forgiveness.
You can't play it out.
Yeah,
You
if
can't
wait-
play it out.
Yeah, if you wait for 15 minutes and decide, okay, this is definitely not going to work, and you surrender, you will still lose full penalty. But if you actually take advantage of the early surrender opportunity, you will have full forgiveness.
And if the player returns, this option's off the table. Once they
Sure.
return, you got to play too.
Okay.
So, you know, this is a controversial system. With some that the community's talked about a lot, but there are downsides to this one too. That's why we've been hesitant to implement it for a while.
Yep.
But we're ready to try it out. One of the key things we're doing to prevent the break cases is that the disconnected player will receive double the full TP loss.
Oh, wow.
So if this scenario successfully occurs,
That's good.
you disconnect early and your team surrenders.
make
The
it
losing team, 4 players, no TP loss. The disconnected player, full TP loss times 2. Whatever, even if you played the matchup for 45 minutes, whatever, that number times 2 minus. And the winning team will get reduced winning TP because they
you
just
won't win as much in a
they pretty much
45,
did
yeah.
they
but
pretty
you
much
still
did
gotta win.
nothing.
I don't know
Right.
about
They just get it was a
no
quick game. Sorry for
TP
sorry
loss.
for the inconvenience.
Hold
but-
on. What if the intimidation of me being in the loading screen is what caused them to DC?
I don't think that's
know
happening.
about
So we
feel
really
like
want to.
maybe-
I picked
I feel
Zeus,
like
and now they're
maybe,
like, we can't play
like,
it. Like, I'm not doing it.
half
So you can't,
loss
yeah.
or
If
quarter
people, we really
loss
want
or
to
something.
de-incentivize people quitting on purpose to try to avoid this. So the penalty is harsh. So if you're trying to game this,
I like the idea of
to
the
boost
other
your
team
friends, and you were
winning
trying to be
less, that's good.
the
That's
hero to your team by quitting, you're
But
gonna pay for it.
a
And, like,
zero
you're not gonna be able to
TP
do that very
loss
often
is-
because you'll be back down in the low ranks.
Very, very
So if I
quickly.
see aggro in my game and go, guys,
It's a little bit of a
I'm going to DC at the
little
start
bit of
to
an
save you all
alternative
the
account
worry of having to
exploit
deal with this
situation,
rubbish
but
Zeus in the mid lane. lane.
Probably
I
on
will
the
lose all that
whole
TP.
a good
and you'll be down. You won't be playing with aggro
Probably on
again
the
anytime
whole,
soon
like,
because you will be far
outside
below.
of when you get kicked from
ever
the
again.
game and
Yeah.
then your team
Okay.
So that's
surrenders
really
and you
exciting,
lost
really
30
good feature we've been
TP
asking for a
because you
long
got
time.
kicked from
Yep.
servers.
Also,
But,
this
like,
is something that we teased or someone teased,
take
but
it.
ranked duel getting a change there with the
I'll take
surrender
it.
time now down from 10 minutes. You can now surrender ranked duel at 5 minutes.
Now stop whining about it. It's done now.
I send out a lot of spoilers. So.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Hey, duel, it's only you. If it's only
only
you,
you, it's
we
only
don't really
you.
care, I guess, if
Exactly.
you're going to play
Right,
longer or
it's your
shorter.
choice.
It's just one person. You do what
Right.
you want to do.
You do
So
you.
let people duel faster. We're fine with it.
Speaking of duel, couple changes to the Joust map. We'll be going through these a little bit more quickly. Got to get to towards those Conquest changes because we got
Yeah.
plenty,
Gotta move fast.
Got plenty of them. All right, so Joust towers and Phoenix areas have been updated for better visual clarity, and a new XP camp has been added to the Joust map. It's located
Interesting.
just outside the Bull Demon King's area. So
Okay.
what does this camp do, and,
So
and why
over
are we
in
putting
that
it
So
in?
this is the Joust map, which will affect Joust and duel.
Correct.
Joust has a really cool early game where there's a lot of contesting over the jungle camp, specifically the red camp. But then there's a couple especially some downtime in like the early to mid game before you can go for Bull Demon King or Towers, where you're kind of just looking at each other. So we wanted to add this other camp. It's a small thing.
Not bad.
It's just a thing to do between lanes to bring up a little more strategies. Also, just adds a little more jungle to the camp. Maybe bring assassins into the mode a little bit more. Just add a little bit more strategy to the area without really causing too many heavy shifts.
And no
Yeah.
buff or anything like that. It's
No.
just
Fine.
It's
gold
just
next to
two little armored tigers that just give XP and gold.
No, just 2 armored tigers. Who doesn't have those?
Yeah, of course.
All the time.
I've got 2 armored
Yeah,
tigers.
we're also adjusting the
I've
Bull
got 6.
Demon King.
Right.
In a similar.
Increased base HP from
That's fine.
about 300.
I mean, who really cares?
You know, I
But
play a
that's
lot of
fine.
Joust. When I play with
Do
some
you
good,
now?
I play with some
AJ
good
does
players
play
when
a
I
lot.
do.
You play
And
Joust?
I watched some of my bros like an AMC solo Bull Demon King at level 7, and I was like, I
don't
don't
know
really
about
feel like
this.
that's intended. So we're bumping up his health a little bit to really make that a more contestable objective, and not just something that gets ninja'd, stolen, and then snowballed.
Sure, fair enough. Okay, that does it for the Joust map. Also have changes for the Arena map. These are
Arena
some
map
things that
changes.
people were requesting after some of those Arena adventures that we had. Some
Interesting.
new UI elements and things like that. You can see the ticket value effects a little bit better. And also respawn timer rules have been changed to be a little bit less random, scaled more properly if
nice.
you're winning or losing.
So we try to use the adventures as a test bed for things whenever we can. So in Inner Demon, we tried a bunch of stuff. We're bringing some of that in here. So when you kill minions, you'll see little ticket pop-ups. This is great for new players who don't really know where the scoring system comes from in Arena. So you'll now see feedback for that, like XP and gold. Updating the HUD so you can see the kills to your Juggernaut. And the respawn timers is a big one too. It's a looping respawn timer, so you could die and have like a 5-second respawn timer, which is just weird.
Right.
So we're equalizing that out. It'll be very based on currently who's leading the game.
That's good.
Gotcha.
But then you'll
The
still
Arena
wave
respawn
based, not
timer
changing
sucks.
that.
Okay, perfect. So
That was a
Arena
crappy timer.
is going to see some more changes this fall. Big
I hated
update
that. The
coming
respawn
soon.
Yeah,
timer where
big
you
art,
could get,
art
like, 40
update later this
seconds,
fall. We're really
or, like,
excited for
2.
that. Complete art change to the Arena and some minor design changes, but it's looking really good. But keep an eye out for that.
With all the things we have in this midseason patch, we're still finding a way to build in teasers for future patches.
Right, spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Clash getting a couple changes as well. You mentioned this. The Phoenixes will now attack just like normal Phoenixes. No more laser beam eyes for those
Ooh,
Phoenixes.
laser
The
beam.
Apophis buff and enhanced Apophis buff gets a buff, I suppose. A little
A
bit.
buff.
Yeah, the buff
Buff that
gets
buff.
a buff because
Buff the buff.
why not?
'Cause why
Also,
not?
the explosion of Apophis entering the map loses a little bit of damage.
No,
Bit of a
why?
nerve. Just a little bit. We didn't want it like
boys.
just one-shotting people.
Yeah, we did.
We
Yeah,
like
we
it making
did.
it. No, we want you to get the kill though, not Apophis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So now they'll be left there weaker. You can pick people off, but
That's fair.
Yeah, and also
Rest
so
in
the
peace.
class changes are mostly because the map had a tendency to kind of stall out and stalemate sometimes.
Yes.
So we really wanted to avoid that. Those
Boo! No
Phoenixes really hard to
one-shots.
read.
Boo!
Like they were
Bad
interesting,
shade.
but they were like the way the damage ramped up on the ticks made it feel like nothing, and then you're dead.
Yeah.
So with the regular fire rate, you can play around them better, and then the Apophis buff getting that regeneration. We've seen this in Fire Giant. It really helps sieges.
Yes.
Yeah, especially because Fire or Apophis, like if you go to kill it,
I don't know,
and
do people
you get the
play
buff,
Clash?
It doesn't feel that impactful when you're finishing the game.
Sure.
With health regen, it totally will, especially when you're actually trying to siege the Phoenixes down.
Okay, perfect. That does it for Clash. Now, Barracuda, pay attention. Assault change.
This won't really affect him.
Yeah,
Assault will now randomly select a god from all gods instead of the gods the player just owned. So, Barra, if you need a Smurf that doesn't have the
It's
god
a pretty
pack,
interesting
Oh, that's
change.
cool.
It
So if you
is.
don't have the god pack,
all
you can still-
gods, yes, all gods for all players in
That's cool,
Assault.
I guess.
Great.
We're still really looking at Assault. We have a lot of big plans for it, so we'll see what we can do in the future. We haven't really
Teasers,
figured that out yet.
Teaser,
But Assault is now one of our. It's a really popular game mode actually. And
Yeah,
it's
it is.
been kind of
great.
gone the longest without some changes, so we're keeping an eye out. But although it's small today, we're working on it.
Actually, we did do changes recently. We changed the sound of the dogs, right?
Yeah, we
Big
did.
fix.
That's a
Big
big
fix.
fix.
that was a big buff to the
Assault
Assault
thing.
map.
Kudos
I
to the
agree.
environment and audio team on that one.
It really was. Okay, that means it's time for Conquest. We got through
Hey,
just
here we
about
go.
every other
About time.
sort of map. Let's get started. AJ, you teased
Yes,
this
let's do it.
a little bit ago. Support changes
Yes.
in XP.
Right.
It's not even.
What's going on?
It's not
So
even
this is a problem we've been trying to
necessarily
tackle actually
support.
since
It's
early,
bottom
even
level.
early 5.1 development, right,
Yeah.
Pon? Like we saw this issue, but
mostly
Conquest
support.
Season 5 had a lot of key goals.
So.
We wanted to make junglers more impactful and more independent. We wanted to de-incentivize
Yeah, you get
splitting
XP
the
now
entire
if
map.
you're
We
bottom
widened the
XP
map. We did
basically. You get,
made
like, better
respawn
XP
timers, made a lot
sharing.
of changes to affect this.
Which is
These were all
interesting.
super successful. People seem really happy with Season 5 Conquest, especially the competitive and ranked scene. But it did have one key drawback. That means that it tended to make duo lane suffer a little bit more. Splitting XP was worse. We experimented with so many ways to tackle this issue. We've tried everything.
We tried a whole bunch of different solutions.
Putting it on Guardian's Blessing just caused everybody to buy one. Even if it
Right.
was small, just getting a little bit ahead on your opponent was so good. It changed it to a 2-1-2 meta or a group up meta again. It was not good. Can't put it on an item. We
not
ended up with
good.
five supports.
Right.
Not good. We tried XP bonus that was too easy to get. We tried solo. It all had exploitable cases. So really what we wanted to do was focus on just the support. Support tends to split the most. There's kind of 4 positions on the map, the lanes and the jungle, but one person has to share.
Right.
Yep.
So really what we did is specify this change
One guy has
directly
to
towards
share.
them. Sure, it's going to bounce around to other players on your team, but in most cases it'll affect the support.
Okay.
So after 2 minutes, which is about when players' duo lane starts to be definitively behind the
Indeed.
other lanes, depending on your starts, the lowest level player on each team will get increased shared experience.
So not just experience, only when shared.
Shared.
Only
Only
when
when
shared.
shared.
So
Okay.
the support has to, or the player who is lowest level has to be with an ally.
can't wait to see the
and then
bugs
they
on
will
this.
get.
I can't
And
wait
I
for
put
it.
the math in the patch notes so you can see it. But essentially, so it's normally 100%. With a shared player, it goes up to 120. So it would be 60-60. Now it'll be 60-75% for the
Interesting.
lower
Okay.
level player.
Yep.
And so if your duo and your ADC are exactly the same level, both low, it'll bounce back between them at the time. But as soon as the support starts roaming, ADC gets that solo farm, then they'll start doing that with the mid laner. The mid laner is going to be almost certainly ahead of them.
Yep.
So the
Right.
support can split with the mid laner, get a bunch of experience there, move in with the jungler, gives them a lot of flexibility.
Okay, perfect. And we talked a lot
Support
about
get 20
DCs and
Nope,
what was
that's not
happening
how
there
that
with
works.
the
Oh,
early
right.
surrender
Not how
changes
that
and that
works.
kind of
Not
stuff.
unless it
How do
bugs.
DCs impact
Right.
this?
It's just the lowest level
I'm
on the
actually not
team.
fully familiar.
Oh yeah, sorry, I tried to throw it upon.
Post like
Because I'm
3
talking way
minutes.
too much.
No, because
No,
there's,
it's
a lot
simple,
of
though.
stuff that
Pon's
you
your
have.
eye candy right now,
Yeah.
and you're
You're looking
and
good, Pon.
Yeah, bring all the info.
If a player is disconnected, they will not get this bonus.
Okay.
So it'll just use the second lowest player.
When
Okay.
it comes back.
If they come back, they will take it back,
Yes.
and then they
Okay.
can try to get back in the game. Sure. But a key thing about this though is we're not really intending this change to work that way. Like this is not a change that's like, oh, my solo laner fed, and now we're just going to boost them back.
Yeah.
No. This
Right.
is not a change like, oh, we're just going to go like, I'm just going to not play my role and just go harass the enemy jungler, not going to XP, and then just earn it all back. No, it doesn't work like that.
It's not going to work
Yeah.
out. And the way this is
won't get enough.
designed, from what I'm reading here, it's like by 9 minutes, it's always the support that's bottom of
Well,
the
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
By 9 minutes in the game, from 2 minutes onwards, this is going to be helping out the team as a whole. You're
It's a
going to be
good
sharing
change.
a lot.
It's a
anyway.
good
Right,
change.
so this
I
is
mean,
really
certainly there's
intended
going to
to
be
not really
bugs
change
with it.
anyone's play
That
styles.
something's
We're
going
not
to go
trying to
crazy
get people to
wrong.
game the system.
But the idea behind it is
although they
good.
might,
Where
you know,
basically
MOBAs,
you get
and that's
plus
beautiful.
50%
They're gonna
shared
But
XP.
it's
for
not going to
being
be
the bottom
very.
level,
It's not going to have a
which,
huge
like
payoff. if you try
90%
to
of the
do
time
that.
is
But
gonna
really,
be
you
the
play
support.
optimally, you
So.
play normally, you play support. At the time you're in the team fight phase, you're just going to start catching up to your teammates faster.
Yep.
Perfect.
And it's intentionally subtle so that those situations where people might try and game it, it's not really beneficial enough to really game it. It's just going to be something that's happening passively to your team that is a slight benefit.
So if it's a casual player doesn't watch patch notes, they haven't been playing for a little bit. They come back in 4 weeks or something like that, and they're just like, man, I'm sick at farming and support. Like I don't know what I did differently, but I'm just feeling a little bit better. That's kind of the feel we're going.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Also, a change to minion AI here in Conquest.
Finally.
Minions that have already chosen a target will now no longer change targets unless drawn by God aggro, correct?
This is a big bullet point too. This is something we hear a lot from pros and especially veteran players about asymmetrical minion wave clearing. So hey,
Yep.
me and my opponent, we did the same jungle start, but I got to lane and they had 3 minions and I only
Yep.
had 2.
Right.
and now I lost the game.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's an exaggeration. but you
And
should
now
be able to
I
play around
lost the
that.
game.
But we are trying to optimize that scenario.
Okay.
This is not going to guarantee symmetrical farm, but the way that issue occurs is when minions, they shuffle around a little bit, as anything driven by AI is not going to be perfectly scripted.
Right.
It's going to make some choices based on the AI. It's going to have some randomness to it, and that's okay. But we're decreasing the chances of that happening a little bit by making sure the minions, when they focus a target and there's nothing out around to distract them, that they stay on their target and continue to DPS it and hopefully clear each other a little more closely symmetrically.
So,
can I ask a question about that? So the enemy aggro that you're going to see there, if a god gets aggro from those minions, when the minions go back to the wave again, if the wave was still there, would they re-aggro the same minions, or would they just select new targets?
We're
at that
not
point?
changing anything to the system except in the case where they're already targeting a minion.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in that case, nothing changed.
Right, okay.
If gods are around, nothing changed.
Cool.
And the main problem with solving this issue is that in 99% of cases, a god was around and
Right.
affected the lane, and it
Yeah.
wasn't just pure RNG. You did something, or your opponent did something.
Gotcha.
So this is just to work out the fringe cases. We're really trying hard to fix these
be fair, that was pretty
unsolvable
annoying.
problems. We're not going to
Well, you
necessarily
literally
just
showed
perfectly
up to
fix them.
lane
We're
and you're just like,
making
you're
changes to
like,
improve it.
missed one
Yeah, I
minion, you're
thought I saw something about world
uh,
hunger somewhere.
Why did I miss a
Right.
minion XP?
While
Now
we're
I need to
attacking
get level 2.
matchmaking,
Now they got level
PC
2. Now I
minion
died.
AI,
Now they
Yeah,
snowball.
exactly. It's just the
GG.
next
The
logical
Smite
thing.
team is on it.
Yeah, we're on it. Don't you worry about it.
It was actually super
Elder Harpy's getting a bit of a
potentially
nerf here. This one, it will affect mid harpies and back or XP camps, kind of whatever you want to call them now. This base XP reduced from 34 to 24. So gold still staying the same,
Okay.
but mid and jungle should get a little bit less XP with this change.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the goal here is we talked about the support and duo lane especially as the one that was kind of the more problematic thing of Season 5 that has kind of shown up. But one other aspect of that is the fact that mid and jungler get a little bit too far ahead. And so like as a jungler, you can get a really good rotation off and you can go gank that duo lane that's now a level down for you. Or the mid laner can rotate over and really have a big impact there. Changing the Elder Harpy, so the large Harpy, is going to slow that down a little bit. It's going to keep largely the pace the same. It doesn't feel that different. But when you are actually farming those things effectively, you'll be a little bit lower level. So the difference between the dual lane and the mid and the jungler is going to be a little bit less.
Mid was getting
Particularly
pretty much
affects the
XP,
early
so-
game.
Yeah.
As the XP rule ramps up over time, this prevents that like level 5 versus level 3 gank.
Gotcha.
And shout outs to the pros for helping us discuss all these changes on Conquest. Like they were really helpful in the whole thing. We had a big round table here at the last LAN, and we've been talking online nonstop. And like we were trying to brainstorm this issue about how to buff supports, and then they were like, "Why not just nerf mid jungle a little bit?" And we were like,
Yep.
"That's a good idea." So
Yeah.
we did we took a very subtle approach to both of them, and the pros, they always give us really good insights. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate you.
Perfect.
welcome.
All right.
Wait a second,
Oracle's
that's not
also
me
getting a
anymore.
little
Wait
bit
a
of a
second.
nerf here, but it's more about the HP.
I play
So
round
kind of a
one.
buff
Wait a
for
second.
taking oracles in a way. In the early game, the base HP right now, each oracle is 680 in base HP, now going down to 500. So
Oh, wow.
much easier
That's
to
a
clear. in the early
significant
Yeah, they're much
change.
easier to kill in the early game. If your duo lane wants to rotate over, if your jungler wants to farm, then it's
That's
going to be a bit more
huge. That's
effective.
like a
we often saw
20
teams ignoring it for an excessive period of
30%
time, even though they
nerf
were
or
up and ready to take. They were just a bit too tanky.
Right.
And so now with the lower health, they'll be more contestable early on.
Still want them to feel like a mini objective, but just turn that dial a little bit.
Perfect. Okay.
It's like a
Now we've
pretty
got a
big
lot
dial
of
turn.
buff changes.
Yeah, these are spicy.
This, yeah.
Okay.
Buckle in if you haven't been ready quite yet. This is where you should get ready. We'll start with
player
the
tier.
most one. Oh, the pro
Okay.
player tiers already.
They like this change.
Well, I mean,
We've already talked about it with
I've seen the first one on
them.
the list. So
Okay, yeah.
We've already
All
talked
right.
this over with them. They like it.
Speed buff
Nerf
nerf.
it!
Yeah.
God!
Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Is it though?
As a jungler.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes.
It could be a 1%
yes.
buff.
Could be.
Feels
Okay,
good.
so all of these
Feels
buffs,
good.
Technically is.
real quick, all the buffs are getting a little bit of a top end reduction. You're not getting the full benefit all the time, but you're getting kind of mini objectives to use with a lot of these buffs, at least in regards to something like the speed buff. So right now, speed buff gives you 15% extra movement speed.
Yep.
We're going to reduce that down
To 10.
to 10%. However, before you junglers lose your minds, the buff now applies an additional stack of 2% speed on each jungle camp / assist, and that'll stack up to 3 times. Stacks will last 15 seconds. So this encourages you
Wait, what?
to actually move around and actually use your speed buff to clear the jungle faster instead of just using it to just have way more movement speed in combat than everyone else.
Yeah, that's the specific goal is that when you kill the jungle camps, you're
So
able to
it's
rotate
actually
around the
upwards of
jungle effectively.
1%
Your
more
farm
movement
speed is
speed?
largely the same. We didn't want to nerf the mid harpies and nerf your farm speed. When you go to gank, if you haven't killed something in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to lose that speed buff, so you're not just outpacing everyone when you go to gank.
Well, that went from being a great
so
change
good,
to being
and
a
because that feels
stupid
so
change.
good.
Only jungle
Really
camps as
fast.
well, right? That he
Only
gets that
jungle
buff.
camps.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I mean, junglers have been very powerful in Season 5. Speed buff has
yeah.
been something that's described as widely OP for a while. So we
Literally forever.
we wanted to nerf it, but we
Literally
wanted to give junglers the control to still use it in a way that allows them to get the full benefit.
Technically, it's a 1% buff.
Yeah,
If you're
so
playing perfectly,
if you get all
1%,
3
which I
stats,
know
that does put
every
you to
single one of you out there does.
yeah, all of us.
The way
All
my
the
social
time.
media works, you all play
That
Smite
sucks.
perfectly all the time.
Exactly. So this is a deal that had to be made in order to nerf speed buff, red buff also. Unfortunately.
We're getting a lot of nerfs actually. Red buff and blue buff nerf, and purple buff getting buffed. But
Yeah.
nerfs on the
Purple
rest.
buff has sucked for forever
It's
since
worth
it was
it.
created.
Trust me, mages, hunters, it's worth it.
Percent power strong.
It is, especially in the
really
late
good.
game. Right now, red buff gives you 20%. We're going to reduce that down to 10%. However, you will get 15% when hitting enemy gods. So you only lose 5% when hitting enemy gods, 10% when hitting lane minions. And that's where red buff really did feel a little bit gamey at times, which is like, oh, the enemy has red buff. I'm just getting out-cleared and out-traded at the same time by so much.
Especially late
That's a
game.
pretty big nerf.
That power percentage.
That's a way
is so
bigger
much, you
nerf
get
than the
kind of
freaking
accrue
speed
objectives,
buff
and the
got.
red buff dominated the late game.
Way
in a
bigger
strange way.
nerf.
So we're just it's still going to be very impactful, but dial it back.
Yes.
Dial it back.
15% power, I'll take it at just about any time.
Whatever.
Purple buff getting a change for each enemy past the first within 55 units of you. All enemies within that area will lose additional protection. So right now it's just anyone around you. I believe it's 10 procs
Correct.
that you use currently. That you lose currently. So you'll still have that 10 procs if there's only one enemy around you, but kind of like Oni Hunters, where it's affected, or Masamune by gods around you.
Yeah.
Now you'll actually be able to stack that purple buff debuff depending on how many gods are around you. So if you're in the
Enemy
midst of a
gods.
team fight, right, enemy gods. If you're in the midst of a team fight, you can strip a decent amount of protection.
Yeah, up to 18.
Yeah.
And we also just
not
wanted to
bad.
add an extra note that this actually does stack.
Oh.
Rarely do debuffs like this stack, but
interesting.
every other jungle buff, if I've got red buff and Pon's got red buff,
Stacks.
that's
So you can get, if you got 2 purple buffs, you can get in the middle of a late game team fight 36 procs.
That's
Yes.
huge.
That's insane.
Yeah, now that,
In laning phase,
That's a
if you
big
steal
deal.
the dual lanes purple and
Yeah,
you have
that's a big
purple
deal.
yourself, that's 24
That's
protection.
a
Double
big
purple.
deal.
They're going to be
That's
losing.
we
huge.
wanted to make
That's
sure
like
this
true
purple
damage.
buff was like a lot of times
That's
people still
like
kind of think of the
very
purple buff as just like,
impactful.
whatever, it's just there. So we wanted people to play around it like they do the other
That's
ones.
huge.
It
This might be better than red.
Remember, PTS feedback's gonna be really important.
It might
We're
be
gonna feel
better
everything
than
go
red,
up.
actually. Especially,
but it's really exciting.
actually,
Yeah, at least in the early
undoubtedly,
games, what I'm
early
talking about in
game,
the dual lane. As you
way
guys-
Can we
better.
just notice that, by
Brian,
the way? As soon as a new buff changes and purple gets slightly looked at even more,
That's
support's like, oh,
insanely
a buff. And the mages over here are like,
thank
yeah,
you. He
that
already
might
said
be
that.
better for us.
Wait, you mind if I just take that? Y'all mind
You
if
plan
I...
on being in the midst of 5 enemy gods on your mage aggro?
Hey, man.
You playing Jonqui a lot lately?
A
That was
lot.
great.
One of
Yes,
those,
yes,
dude.
I have
Void
been. Thank you
Shield
very
Always
or,
gets
much.
nerfed, so.
Void
Yeah,
Shield,
What about
whatever.
blue?
Blue buff. Thank you,
Like
Grant.
past
No
the
problem.
50
Sorry.
strike.
we gotta
Decrease
keep
the
moving.
mana restored from 25 to 15 per 5 seconds. So a pretty significant
That is
reduction
pretty significant.
in that mana regen. But you now restore 2% of your missing mana upon damaging a god with an ability. That will only trigger once an ability, a lot like Glad Shield. So again, taking it on the top end, but giving you a little bit of a mini objective to play with.
Yeah, we like the warriors or mages trading in the solo lane, fighting each other, and this just kind of encourages that. If you want to actually get that full mana sustain, you really do need to actually
That's
fight your
fine.
opponent for it.
It'll-
Same with
it'll
Warriors
probably
Blessing,
just
same
end
with
up
Gladiator
evening out.
Shield, and we do have
Let's
a
be
change
real,
to Warriors
all they
Blessing
do is
that
poke each
encourage
other
a little
all
bit
day
more
in the
fighting,
solo lane
more
anyway.
aggression
Nobody
in that
does
lane.
any
This one's
damage,
also
nobody
intended to just be
dies.
like a real flat nerf. A lot of times we're seeing pretty much 0 mana management worries right now.
Yes.
So we just wanted to
Does
just nerf
it
this.
still have the CDR?
It does not.
They took the CDR.
Not the CDR, the internal cooldown.
Sorry,
So
okay.
high cooldown
Yeah.
gods can benefit from this change more, but they're also spending more mana
Right.
because they're firing off their abilities. We
Right.
think it'll be we'll think it'll be okay.
Okay, so the buff still does give you 10% CDR. That's I think what Graham was
That's
asking.
what I was after.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about an internal cooldown on the
But
proc.
that's also a
on
good
the
question,
trigger.
too.
No,
There is
that's
no
good.
internal cooldown on the proc, and the
that good?
CDR remains the same number.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right, we got to get through this quickly
There
because
we
we've
go.
been spending a lot of time on all
But
these
those changes were so
Listen,
hype.
They were. They
it's
were.
the summer patch now. This is
I
what
know.
happens.
I know.
Had a shout out to the pros. I know it took extra time.
No,
It's
that's
worth it.
totally.
It was worth,
Hey,
it was worth it.
I'm just
Still
you guys
doing
doing
it,
your job.
Ajax.
I'm trying
You're
to
still
do
doing
my
it.
job.
Glad you're not sweating.
Yeah, I
I am glad.
Yeah, I am glad about
Me
that.
too.
Jungle practice updates. You tweeted a little
Yeah,
bit about
I saw
this,
a little bit.
AJ.
This is
Yeah,
kinda
a bunch
cool.
of new stuff. I mean,
Jungle
it's
practice is
automatic sets
actually,
of
like,
20.
usable to, like,
You
look
can
at
change your
numbers
jungle
and
camps
stuff.
with cool little buttons.
Which is cool.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, so jungle practice, not really a true game mode, but something
Sure.
that people use a lot and something that's really fun to go in and test. And it's really important to like get people who make guides and people who do videos and people who like to test and do theory craft and stuff like that. So we want to encourage people to use it.
Yep.
So it had some old art, some old minions, old characters.
They really
so we
fixed
updated
it
all
up
of that
nice.
to season 5 level art. Accurate new season 5 Conquest, Gold Fury, and Fire Giant. Jungle buffs, a whole bunch of new features. So I mean, I don't even think we should even talk about the
I don't-
features individually. But we should just go through it. Just read them off, Aggro,
Yeah,
like
okay,
an
so-
auctioneer about how awesome this is.
Are you ready for your jungle practice changes, everyone?
Sure.
Get ready, because I'm going to go through them. Automatic set to level 20. There's a new CD reduction plus mana regen that gives you 80% CDR and a ton of MP5, so you can spam your abilities. God mode will lock your HP at 100%. Stack items. You can now step on a button and your stacks are done. I wish I had that in Conquest at times. We also have a couple new testing areas. You can choose from different gods to fight against in the
Not
AI
just Ra.
section.
A whole
Not
roster
just Raw all
of
the
teams to
time. Yeah,
fight.
save Raw.
He's still in there as a choice.
Okay, good enough. Buff camps, you can now select which Conquest buff you want to test against. There's a Towers and Phoenixes section, so you can test your DPS on those sorts of objectives. And there's a free fight section for you to go in and just go mano-y-mano with one of your friends, should you so choose. Also, some of those, your true duel sort of setup
There you
there.
go.
New features in some old zones. Odin bots, we added a new area set up with a radius, a series of ranges and radius indicators so you can better
here
feel
it
out
is.
the
They
size of your
finally
attack.
made jungle
This
practice
is
a place
your
where you
new
can actually
jungle
look at
practice.
stuff.
Also, some nice new signage.
Lots of
Yeah.
signage,
Yeah.
Oh, that's where Aggro plays.
which is remaining in English because that's art.
nice.
It's hard to change. But yeah, you'll see all these here.
Perfect.
Tower Phoenixes.
Yep, you got your towers and phoenixes there. There's your free fight. That's anytime I have Zeus. That's a free fight for me. Minion waves. You can step on a pad to change the minion stats to match a certain time frame of the Conquest map. That is
Ooh.
super cool.
Super
and
hardcore feature
something
there for
I
you veterans.
really
But if you really want to test like a half build
Yeah.
at like level 7 and 2 items and minions at 7 minutes or 6
Dude, this looks
6
like
minutes.
we could have the Smite Olympics here. You
We
know what
could.
I mean?
Olympics.
Like, who can
It does.
throw their thing the
Feels like a
farthest?
track and field. I feel you.
Yeah, that's what this reminds me of. Also, the center area reduced the size
love
of the
the
fountain a
little
little bit
range
more. That's where we were
indicator.
standing.
Yeah, you get
just
a lot of weird
moment ago.
effects and healing when you didn't intend to and stuff.
Right. So now you can also sell relics and buy new ones, and you can sell blessings and buy new ones as well. So
Right.
basically,
pretty
everything
nice.
you could need to test,
Yeah.
you should have now.
It's pretty nice. to
Also,
have
you
the
should be able
abilities
to bring
do so.
a full team of 5 allies into this
Cool.
at once to goof
Really?
off and fight against each other.
That's
great.
great. And that free fight
I've already been
area.
told that like Team Rival plans on squatting up in here and doing all sorts of weird experiments.
Well, this is where, like, I don't know that Splice is going to be able to get Divios out of this mode
I know, right?
anymore, so they might have to scrim in this sort of setup. That is your changes for the jungle practice mode. And now, let's get on to something you might even be more excited about. Oh, that's really cool. Something you might be even more excited about. Bug
pretty nifty.
fixes.
Bug fixes.
No,
Another
actually,
big list of 'em.
Be excited because there's a lot of them here.
Good.
There certainly are. So many Conquest NPCs had no icon for taking for the damage they were dealing. Icons have been added for the T screen so that you can understand how you
and
died
death
to
recap,
minions.
yeah. And they look really nice, actually. They're very,
good.
very great.
It
Yeah.
won't make you feel any better about dying to a minion.
Bugs
but-
Or a
and Smite?
Titan.
I don't
But now
believe
you'll see a
it.
sweet sword of justice in your death recap.
All right, fair enough. Could be worse. Also, fix some issues where voice chat was sometimes not working or not show that people were talking. Nice
Yay.
change there. Also fixed some
Finally.
console spectator issues. That's exciting. Spectator on console should no longer get stuck after picks and bans. And please, I mean, look, spectator issues, we know we've had a couple of them. Please keep letting us know about those so that,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
in case we're missing them, you guys can let us know and we can start working on them.
Right, and especially try to be specific as possible when you're talking to us. Like,
Sure.
We're trying to track these ones down. Specifically, they're hard for us to reproduce. Like, players will tell us it's completely broken, and we don't really know what that means. Our QA team will boot it up, and it works okay internally. So, you know, we're going to keep working on that together.
Okay.
It's completely
Our
broken.
community's been helping us out a lot with finding these fixes too. So.
Perfect. All right. That means
it
we're
time?
done with
And there's a
bug
lot
fixes.
more bug fixes. A lot
yeah.
more. We just
Oh, yeah.
we just
Keep
picked
on
a
the show.
small
The-
amount.
the-
I
the small
thought
stuff.
Ryan was seeing something different than me because I'm like, he's got loads of bug fixes.
No,
I'm like,
if you
there
see
was
when you see
3.
the actual patch notes, I was writing out bug fixes yesterday for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, we have victory defeat screen changes. We have a bunch of gods getting
Good
some
for
small
them fixing
fixes.
bugs.
Yep.
Good
Audio
for you,
adjustments.
Smite.
Thoth alts are all being equalized for audio. So no more banned skins for Thoth. Hopefully, like a bunch of stuff.
I have a new thought
So
soon,
plenty.
too.
So make sure you get a chance to actually read the patch notes once they're released
please.
on our website.
Okay,
With
good
with the bug
job.
fixes down, that means we get into item
It's
balance.
Here we
item
go.
time.
item time.
Core
Boys
gameplay
and
stuff.
We know we've got
girls.
the
Let's get
masks
underway
coming
because
at
we've got
least, which will be
well the
interesting.
masks. I'm going to start there.
Oh, they're gonna
like
start
whether you
with the
guys
masks.
want to or not, we're starting
Okay.
with masks
Yeah.
because you guys talked about them. Everyone's having ideas. I've seen
interesting.
social media
Yeah.
where people
How
like
this goes.
they've got some sort of idea about it. break it down before we go through them, what the idea of these items are
Positive,
for.
negative.
So I think the big thing here is we want to give players a kind of way to really mix things up, really kind of almost shift classes in a way where like you could play a warrior, but you want to play more assassin-y, and you can kind of shift your playstyle to be more assassin-y or more guardian-y.
Yeah.
Guardian-y, is that a word?
I mean, it is now.
Guardian-like.
Guardian-like.
Yeah.
So the big thing about the masks are they will give you powerful benefits and good stats, but there will be drawbacks to them. They will actually take away stats from you. So one of them will actually give you a damage decrease. So you will deal less damage, but you also take away less damage, percentage-based. So if you want to be more tank-like, you can pick that one up, and that is what it does.
So they all have a buff and a sacrifice.
Now,
and they're all available to all gods.
Before we go through these as well, these are new items. They may be adjusted because I'm scared of these. At the same time as they do feel like I don't know if they're going to be good still. I couldn't tell you guys at home.
They're tricky like that.
I have no idea.
A lot of
Like,
PTS
that's where we're
feedback
at.
will be taken into consideration. We've already been discussing this one with the pros as well. I expect balance changes to these as we go forward, but we're really excited about the idea of them.
The masks are going to be part of a tree that some of you may have seen online already.
Yep.
The base level 1 mask is going to be 500 gold and have 50 health and 50
So you can
mana
start it
on
right off the bat, basically.
However, then we go into 3 different trees. The first tree is going to be the defense tree. We'll break this one down first of all. The tier 2 of this will, for 1200 gold is 50 health, 15 magical protections, 15 physical protections, and 10% crowd control reduction.
Okay.
The upgraded version of this, the low nose mask, is going to be 2200 gold, 100 health, 50 protections, 50 magical and physical protection separately, 20% crowd control reduction, plus minus 25% damage dealt, and plus 15 damage mitigation.
Yes.
So
that's the key right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the key right
That's
there.
the good stuff.
The stats are a little
Yeah.
underwhelming on the tier 1 and tier 2. That's kind of intentional.
15% damage
These aren't
mitigation.
intended to be like bridge
much
items.
else.
Minus
But a lot of protections.
Yeah, a lot of
25%
protections and a lot of
damage
just
dealt.
actual true damage
Wow.
mitigation.
Which is very good.
But also big damage output reduction.
Yes.
Wow.
And this
I mean,
is
if
really
you're
nice to
like
see when you get in the in-game UI. We have really
Geb or
nice
something,
color
like-
highlighting to make this really clear. The
Why not?
sacrifice is highlighted red, and the bonus of the passive is highlighted green.
Nice.
And the items have a clear gains this, sacrifices this, so you can always clearly kind of tell what you're getting.
I don't see
The first person
anybody
I think of that is Geb.
outside
Like, from a
of
support
a
player's
guardian
mindset, I'm
that
like,
wants to be tanky.
give Geb
Minus
good.
25%
Go
damage
Geb
is too
good.
I mean,
much.
Geb
You
does
don't
decent
know.
damage though, you know.
He does.
Sacrifice
You won't be
that.
There was
like,
a playtest where you were trying it, and,
Yeah.
and you almost killed someone, and if you didn't have the mask, you actually might
I don't
have.
think
Yeah.
you won't be
I
like a
blinked in
Thor
on
jungle
Chaos while he
picking
was
this up,
recalling
right?
the
Like,
jungle at low health,
it's not
and I hit him
worth
with
it.
all my Geb
So,
stuff, and he
yeah,
just
I think
barely
you'll see
survived. And I was
tanky
like,
characters
Well,
pick
now-
this
How
up to
does
be
this work
tankier,
with
specifically
things like
like
Geb
support
alt, where it's
players.
percentage based?
You
How
won't
does
see
that
like a
should
solo
be
laner
reduced
pick
again.
this up
It'll be
because
It'll
they
reduce
don't want to do
percentage.
25%
Okay, because I
less
thought I was
damage.
looking for an edge case.
So-
it'll choose the damage
We're
and
still
then
trying to break
reduce
it
it
to you guys.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
damage percent adjustments like that happen very late in the process.
While people are freaking out about the defense one, let's move on to the mobility one.
This
That
is
should be another
this is a
interesting one.
scarier
Oh
one.
boy.
So the tier 2 is
This one's
1200
scarier.
gold, 10 physical power, 30 magical power, 10% movement speed, 10% cooldown
Wow, that's a
reduction.
good item.
That's the tier 2.
Wow, that tier 2 was
3
good. Wow.
is Bomber's Mask. It's not what you think it is. It may be worse. 2400 gold, 25 physical power, 60 magical power,
20% movement speed.
20% cooldown reduction, and you take 20% more damage. But you also get plus 50
Oh, no, that's so worth
movement
it.
speed.
That's
50
so worth
huge.
it.
We
It's
just
not-
broke
That's not
a
even
lot of
close.
rules on
That
that.
is
Oh my God,
so
I know.
worth
That,
it.
that,
That is
readout just broke like 5
overpowered
or
into the
Smite rules.
ground. That
So
is
it's not
so
percentage
worth it.
based movement speed. It's just
So worth
flat
it.
movement speed
Yes.
added on.
Which
50.
still is DR'd heavily. So
Sure.
rarely will you buy this and see actual. Actually, never.
So
will
strong.
you buy the 50 and see the true 50? Because
I will take 20% bonus
I mean, technically as well, because 20%
any
movement speed
day
in this as well
to
is
get the
actually
stats
Yes, there
on
is
that.
20% as that too.
Okay. Whew.
Any
And
day.
it gives you both types of power.
Yep.
Which we never done before.
Double power,
And any
20
god can
CDR,
buy this. So yeah, you can be Ymir with physical power. It won't do
plus
anything.
50
but you
Right.
can
for
get
20%
it.
damage taken. Dude, any
And
day of the
it's
week.
got cooldown reduction. This
Think
one
about
is
it. That's the
strong.
difference between
Yes.
taking
This one
500
would
damage
probably
or
take some
600 damage.
adjustment. But the taking so much more
cares?
damage, you die really quick.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's a scary downside.
Yeah, I
Oh,
tried
yeah.
this out a
No
few
way.
times,
Give
and there's
it
a
to
few
me.
times where I walked in, I was like, oh yeah, I ate like one hit from
Oh,
someone.
yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm red health. But
Oh,
when
yeah.
you move so fast,
That's
if someone,
so worth
it's really hard for
Like
me
a
to catch you. So it's
Mercury,
kind of,
dude?
it is a trade-off of I move really, really fast, but if anyone catches me for any reason, I'm going to suffer for it.
So Neath Nuwa new meta, right? Because you can't. They're just taking 20% more from a Nuwa ult or a Neath ult, and your movement speed. Good luck.
That's
I mean,
so
we've been having Pon on junglers trying to break this item all week, and he's successfully done it probably. But we'll wait for everybody else on PTS to try it out too before we make any adjustments.
To be fair, I think Neath would prefer the next item.
Yeah, probably.
That's
but imagine both.
We're on to the damage
makes the Guardian's
one
mask
now,
look
and this is the
terrible.
final of the 3 masks.
Okay.
Clear one thing up before I state this one as well.
Mask.
Only 1 mask can be purchased.
Okay,
you
that's good
can't
to know.
buy multiple
That's good
masks.
to know. You only can buy 1 mask.
And even if you did, I don't think that's a very good idea anyway, because the negatives actually outweigh the
Your
positives.
boy wants to play
No, not
Thanatos
always.
with that
It feels
cooldown
that way.
speed.
Yeah,
mask,
the
that's all
damage
I'm
one.
saying.
Well, it's all percentage based, so if you're not
Yeah.
building enough power or defense, then it doesn't really matter, right?
That's true.
You've got to.
I think builds would be not very good if you tried to buy multiples.
only
we
one
won't let
mask.
you anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
sorry.
Only 1 mask, only 1 blessing, mastery, damage version.
Okay.
Fighter's mask is 1,200 gold. It's 10 penetration,
Good.
20 physical
That's
power,
strong.
50 magical
It's a
power.
strong tier too.
Then Rangdar's mask. Yeah, he's back too. 2,600 gold,
Okay.
20 penetration,
That's strong.
50 physical
That's
power,
strong.
100 magical
That's
power,
strong.
minus 30 movement speed, but plus 15% ability
Oh
damage.
yeah,
and
yeah,
plus
yeah, 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 yeah,
20%
yeah, yeah.
Basic
Broken
attack damage.
Yeah, yeah,
Lordy.
So,
yeah.
we take away your boots.
Yep.
So
Or
we move,
a
you
good
move like
a good
snail.
Yeah,
portion of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
You move
yeah,
like a
yeah.
snail,
Yeah,
but
not even
you
close.
swing
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
truck.
Why
Yeah, you
wouldn't
turn
you build?
you turn
I'm a
That's
snail
even
mode.
better.
Yeah.
That's even
Okay.
better.
Yeah, these items are arranged in a nice
Why wouldn't you buy
triangle
that?
where you sacrifice 1 stat to gain the other,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
don't just directly cancel out each other. They go through the mobility. Like
The
we didn't want to
negative
do
on
just
that is so.
plus damage
Who
and
cares?
plus defenses and
Who
then the
cares?
opposite, right?
Yeah.
It's a little less interesting and it causes some weird matchups where it's not that exciting. It just cancels
That's
out.
the
Right.
So this
easiest
triangle
downside.
feature works out really well, and
Minus
you have to go
movement
through
speed?
mobility to make
Son,
it.
just
make
buy
to
it
the-
on
to the
Zeus.
powerful
You
stats.
weren't
Yeah.
moving
I also think
anyway.
it's worth knowing that this is the most expensive one. They all have different costs. The Lonos one is at the lowest
You
cost.
weren't
the range is
moving
at the highest.
anyway.
Right. And that's the main thing, that the balances of the item, the cost could change.
Gooby!
Yeah, some of these stats could change too.
Definitely yes.
Yeah. But they're going to be
PTS.
experimented with.
PTS will be really fun with this.
Have fun.
Wow, that's an
Yeah, all the
item.
theater crafters
folks.
out there are just trying to
Wait,
like.
That could
make
be
it
the
fun
most
right now.
broken item I've seen in Smite of all time.
We're going to move on to
I've
late
seen,
game potions next
like,
of all. The elixir of
Dementor's
power
doll.
and the elixir of defense. We're going to
maybe
group
it's
these
not
two
that good.
together. They're not going to be removed on death anymore. Is the big news on this.
What?
These are the 3K potions.
Right.
3K potions, you can persist through death. Yeah, we just want to make sure when you're buying this, it's very late game. We just want these are end the game type of items.
That's
We
a
want to make sure
huge
people
change!
continue to just fight it out until the game is over and not just immediately lose his investments and stuff like that.
Yep.
So.
Now they also now provide an
That's a
additional 25%
huge
damage
change!
mitigation from structures is the defense one, and the offense one gives additional 25% damage to structures. And the buff time has been increased. It was 300
lasts
seconds. It's
longer.
going to be 360
You
seconds.
do plus
and
25%
persist through
to
death.
structure,
Yeah.
and
And
it
the
doesn't
game.
go away.
And the game.
And the game.
If you're
Yeah.
at 3K potions, end the game.
The
Yeah,
game.
You've already done it.
A
You're
support
there.
should not get
Close
so
it
tricky.
out.
At the finish line, learn to siege, and just end the game.
Yeah.
Wow, you don't have to learn
After
the
late game
siege. You
potions,
just
we'll
did
move on
it.
to mage items.
Wow.
Before we
Lot
get to
of
the mage
mage changes,
items,
yeah.
we do some mage changes here. What?
We're still working on the fallout of the Rod of Tahuti change, I would mostly say. Like, that was a really big change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen mages fluctuate in power really heavily.
I can't say
think we're
anything
getting
else but
really
wow,
close
guys.
to the
I'm
right
sorry, I don't
spot.
know. I'm
But we had a
so
couple mage item
flabbergasted
passives
right
that felt
now.
really redundant.
This is, I mean, I
kind
thought
of like
I was
bonus
expecting
damage on
big
top of bonus
changes,
damage,
but this
and
is like
it was kind of weird that like Ethereal Staff was a anti-tank item, but also a tanky mage item, and so we did a couple things to
Wait,
smooth those
what?
out and make them have more clear.
Soul Reaver
goals.
now has
Okay.
Ethereal Staff.
Well, let's move on to them then. We're going to start off with Soul Reaver first of all. It's going to have a passive rework. This is now Ethereal Staff passive.
Right.
So the passive is your abilities deal an additional 2% of your target's maximum health as magical
Gross.
damage. If the target has over 2,000 health, your ability bonus damage scales up. This effect
Gross.
reaches a maximum of 8% maximum health damage at 2750 health.
Gross.
So that's now going to be E-Staff, but in Soul Reaver.
Right, Soul
stats.
Reaver was already doing bonus damage,
Right.
but it was doing a different amount in a weird way. I don't think mages needed another like free burst damage item on top of
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
So we wanted to make the anti-take item more clearly a power item with a power
Well,
bonus damage.
bye, Soul
passive.
Reaver.
Yeah, its stats are the same.
I guess.
Okay. So Soul Reaver stays the same apart from its passive changes to E-Staff. Now, Ethereal Staff itself is going to get a new passive.
Here we go. This
The
could be
passive
interesting.
is, whenever you damage an enemy god, you steal 8% maximum mana.
Mana Steel.
Mana
Steel.
In the game.
It's there.
You're welcome, Reddit.
8% maximum mana as well as 4% maximum health from the target. The stats remain stolen for 45 seconds and targets affected can have multiple buffs and debuffs at
Wow.
once.
Correct.
This can
Wow.
only occur
Wow.
once every 15 seconds. So they get
Yes.
it back after 45 seconds?
Yeah,
if-
so it'll debuff them to
Right.
essentially steal that, and the person who applies it will get the buff for it.
Right.
That's
And then every 15 seconds you can
good.
reapply it, and
Wow.
because the buff lasts for 45 seconds, you
That's
can actually
good.
have multiple different ones active at any given time. So you could stack them all on one person. You could also spread that out over multiple people.
Wow.
But so you can actually get quite a bit of bonus maximum
That's-
mana and bonus maximum health. Which makes sense for this item because it's more of a tanky item. It has health on it.
Okay.
It's really kind of
Wow.
more defensive oriented
That's
for the mages.
good.
So this can really ramp up and give you a lot of stuff.
That's
The
really
maximum mana
That's a
will
huge
come into
change.
handy with some other changes we're talking about.
Okay.
It's a really interesting
Okay.
item passive.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mana burn.
Another notable
feel
thing
like an
from
idiot
Soul
saying
Reaver
wow
is
so
they took out
much,
the
but I
internal
can't
cooldown on
stop.
that, so you could
That's-
hit people for shred
Sorry.
percent a lot
I
more.
apologize
so
in
they lost a
advance,
lot of
but I don't
bonus
think
Right,
it's going to
so
stop.
So the
That's
E
a
staff is
a
even
lot.
it's even
That's a
better.
lot
E
to
staff.
Still
handle.
only once per ability.
That's
then,
an
right?
item.
Okay. Okay.
And then ethereal
good
staff,
item.
yeah, this is this kind of like, I don't know, like really kind of draining ability where you can actually get bigger. You can
Yeah.
get bigger tanky stats and mana and health, max mana and health, while draining their mana. Like we're trying to find out a way to incorporate mana drain in an interesting way, and this is what we came up with, and I'm really excited about it.
After Ethereal Staff, we're going to move on to Book of Thoth next. This is going to get some changes too. Increased cost from 2650 to 2800.
Okay.
Reduced magical power from 100 to 80. Increased mana from 125 to 250, so that's doubled. And increased mana conversions from 3% to 5% on the evolution.
Oh, no!
Identity changed slightly here, or just like focused in a different direction?
Kukulkan buff,
It's focused on the
dude.
passive.
Okay.
It did too much of everything. It was a little split. It was kind of losing its place in the meta. Now it's clearly the mana conversions more powerful
Yowzers.
and more mana, but less overall power.
And
So-
especially gets more powerful when you actually get the stacks up, which before a lot of people would
good
actually just
one.
buy it and be like, yeah, this is good, outright buying it. So now
That's
actually building
a
the stacks has a lot more
good
impact.
Wait,
one.
you mean us as casters need to come up with a new line for Book of Thoth? That
Yes.
isn't, well, the stacks don't really matter on this
Yes.
item,
Yes,
so
you
they're
do.
not worried about it.
And
You
if
can actually the
and
stacks matter now.
The rest of your build
Alright.
synergy matters more too.
Interesting.
It's
The
fine. We're
stacks
talking
do
about
matter more now.
Kukulkan with how this is
know.
going. He's
I know.
looking good. Oh,
Why
come on,
did we just
empty
show a
dust.
random
Book of the
stat?
Dead. Book of the Dead no longer provides health. The shield now calculates based on your total mana, not current mana. Increased
that's
passive
strong.
mana shield from 15% to 20%.
That's strong.
Lowered health threshold for passive trigger, 50% to 40%.
Those are all
Another
good
focus on the
changes.
passive change.
Right.
Yep.
So more about the passive making that
That's all
more
good
stand
for
out,
Book
but
of
it's
the
got no
Dead.
health.
Yeah, so the
Honestly.
passive really saves you when it pops.
Wow.
It
Right.
will shield you for a bit more
That's
and
so
based off your mana,
strong.
so again, more mana synergy.
Sure.
And then you also have the lower health
Kukulkan
threshold trigger, which means that it will
mana!
happen more often to save you versus just popping when you didn't really need it.
That's a great-
But yeah, the health's gone. So the tankiness is
I mean, the
focused on the
health is
passive
gone, but,
entirely,
like,
not on the base item
Still,
itself.
that's,
Okay.
that's a...
Next on the list is Sorcerer's Staff and Warlock Staff. So I'm going to go through these real quick. Sorcerer's Staff reduced mana from 175 to 100. And Warlock Staff reduced mana from 400 to
Good,
200.
good.
I'm guessing you give identity focus again. If these do mana and these do
Cool.
And Warlock stuff
power
is a
health.
health
That's
item,
good.
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So nerf them.
That's actually a good
Also
change.
stops that Warlocks plus book
Yeah.
Correct.
build from being like insane.
Correct. So,
That's
Typhon's Fang reduced magical power from 100 to 80. Increased bonus magical power from your lifesteal total from an equal amount to twice the amount.
What?
Right. So that's at most about 50 more power, like if you're maxing lifesteal, which pretty much no one does. But this is again focus on the passive.
Okay.
So now if you're in like
Okay.
that 2 lifesteal item type of build, you're gonna get more power out of this item than you did before because we're just nerfing the flat power.
So
So
basically,
if
they
I'm
said, yo,
Goobis and I
Gooby,
take that mask that
here's
makes
a
me do
little
more
love.
damage yet move very slow, but I'm Goobis anyway.
Yes.
And then I get Typhon's Fang, I'm looking good, is what you said.
You're looking really good.
I won't lie to you. Goobis was in the front of my brain while working on that mask. Often.
That's why I brought him up, because I'm like.
But it wasn't just Goobis. Wasn't just Goobis, but it's definitely good on Goobis.
Yeah.
Backup
Goobie's
selling
gonna
going to get a
love the
small
mask.
cost increase. A lot of
'Cause
people
he
complain about this.
doesn't
It's
move
2,400
anyway.
to 2,500 gold now, so a bit of a change there. Restored Artifact decreased MP5 from 20 to 15,
That's
so that's a
fine.
little
Who
bit
cares?
more
Yes.
of that.
Tier 2 of Rod of Tahuti and Chronos.
Right,
Pendant.
because people
Yep.
would be freaking out if that's
Little
tier one.
changes like
Yeah,
that. Who
it's
cares?
Tier 2, tier 2.
I mean, to be fair, if I had 20 on that, I'd be complaining.
Yeah.
Chronos Pendant decreased magical power from 100 to 90, but decreased the MP5 from 25 to 20. Just a big
it's
nerf.
okay.
Just a slight nerf.
Well.
It's a very catch-all type of item.
Yeah,
Because you
lots of
got
power, lots of
CDR,
regen, and
MP5.
CDR plus CDR breaking. So just focusing more on the CDR.
After season 5 changes, it came back in a big way.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Continue with the mage items then. We're on to Rod of Asclepius next. The passive effect now only increases heals from abilities. No more potions, lifesteal, or FG buffs.
Rest in peace, my
only from
Gooby
actual
ass clap bill.
Yeah, we're gonna keep a close eye on this one too. The life steal is the biggest question mark, I think.
I think that's the one that a lot of people
Yeah.
would be like, life 6.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to use it in that way. But the real thing was we wanted to prevent it from making Fire Giant buff actually could heal you a huge amount when you had
yeah.
a rod. So
Okay. Rod of Healing,
Yeah.
same as Rod of Asclepius. The passive effect now only increases heals from abilities. No more
Same thing.
parts, lifesteal, FG buff.
Sad.
Next up is Oni Hunter's Gob. So I guess we're moving into physical, or at least defensive.
So we
items.
went mages, now we're going to defensive.
So what's going on with defense?
We're not going alphabetical, we're going to themes.
I know. We
Yep.
do that on these patches
Just
sometimes.
some slight changes. We wanted to be careful with the support items. We didn't want any big overhauls because of the Conquest changes impacting them so heavily.
Yep.
Okay.
So we just looked at it for a couple items that were just either really unpopular or weak or
2 to
overpowered and just make some
3% per
adjustments.
stack.
Yep. Oni Hunter's Gob's on your screen already.
many
Increased
stacks are
damage
there?
mitigation per stack from 2% to 3%.
That's
Make
gonna
it a
be
bit more
strong.
impactful.
It will be a little bit stronger. Onto
It's
Mig-
1,900 gold, by the way.
just keep pushing that.
It's
out.
free.
Yeah.
Midgardian Mail is the next on the list too. Increased cost from 2250 to 2300, so 50 gold more. Decreased the movement speed slow, attack speed slow from 10% to 8% per stack. So still the same amount of stacks,
That's a
just
bit-
a
that's a
little
good
bit
nerf.
toned down.
Yeah, it was a bit strong even when you weren't building it
That's a
as a
good
counter, and as a
Right.
counter was very strong. Just toning it down to be a bit more balanced for its
Screw
goals.
Midgardian Mail. It's such a boring.
After that, we move on to some attack speed items by the looks of it, or like assassin-ish items. Is that what I should be looking at?
Speed buff.
Silver Branch
That's
Bow
a
increased
big
attack
buff.
speed buff duration from
That's
3
pretty
seconds to 6
significant.
seconds. Toxic Blade increased attack speed from 20% to 30%.
That's pretty significant.
Stone Cutting Sword decreased cost from 2,600 to 2,500 gold.
Yeah.
Poison Star decreased damage reduction from 20% to 15%. Oh, so that took a bit of a hit.
It's
Yep, that's
pretty
been
decent.
really popular, especially in pro play.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, people consider that item to be very strong.
So it's going to take do a little bit less on that. Wind Demon, we're going to decrease the cost of this item, I guess, to try and bring it in line with
Okay.
Poison Star a bit more as well. 2,800 to 2,700.
It was also
gold
just
there.
pretty outclassed by
Yeah.
Deathbringer and Malice.
Yep.
Malice, although being the less popular one, is very strong. So is Deathbringer.
Spectral Armor, after that, increased damage taken from crits from 50%. Increased damage taken from
Yeah,
crits.
the
from
wording is
50% to
because it
60%.
decreases it
It's a
from
nerf.
100 to
Up to
50.
Now, but now
So
it's
now
up.
we're increasing the 50 to 60. So
Sure.
it's worded in a weird way, but essentially means it's a nerf. It doesn't protect you as much from crits.
Spectral,
Only
here's how you write this,
40%
guys.
minus
I'll just
instead
say
of
it for you.
50.
Spectral Armor, 10% less effective.
No, that's confusing.
Yeah.
Literally what it is, though.
Actually, this-
literally what it is.
That would be 5% in some people's
Yeah.
interpretation
Yes.
of that.
And maybe Spectral.
Warrior's Blessing!
Maybe Spectral's not written perfectly, but there was a lot of confusion when we first made this passive.
Yeah.
Everybody being like,
Okay.
wait, what happens if I've got Deathbringer? And so I rewrote it a bunch of times.
Spectral Armor
Maybe
is
I'll do
just
it again.
not as
Maybe I'll do
good.
it again.
Yes, not as good.
Warrior's Blessing.
Also
next
not
up.
as good.
Decreased health from 100 to
Finally.
75.
Screw Warrior's
Decreased
Blessing.
heal and mana
Screw that
restore
item.
on trigger from 40 to 30. So
Yep.
taking a bit of a health, and you're getting some regen anyway, still in the blue buff still, right?
yeah.
Still less, though.
It's
Yeah.
still less though. But overall, when we first put it out, people thought it was a little bit weak. We buffed it,
strong.
and
It
people
was
kind of
too
realized,
strong to
wait,
begin
no, it was
with.
actually really, really good.
Sure.
And that caused
Yeah,
a lot
no.
of these soul lanes to become these boxing fights, but that didn't ever really result in anything.
Okay.
So we're bringing it down a little bit in health, bringing
Tone
a little
it
bit down in the
down.
sustain, making it so those trades are a little bit more meaningful. Also potentially opening up the pool for
They're
other
going so
things
fast
to
through these.
go
Yeah,
in
they
that
are.
lane.
They got a
and
lot
be
to get
bit more
through, man.
effective.
Mid-season
More
matches
aggression,
and
more
all
aggression
that.
in the soul lane. Just a couple themes we've been going through.
Yeah,
More aggression in the
all
soul
that.
lane. A little buffs to in-hand assassins, basic attack assassins, some equalizing of crit, and watching out for counter items, just having their counters be just way too good.
And I know we went through those notes really quickly because we're trying to make sure that
Yeah, we gotta
actually
keep
get this in
moving.
a
I was
reasonable
gonna
time.
Gotta
this
keep
bit,
moving.
we can
We're
We
already
Keep
have
moving.
dev commentary.
most stuff to go.
It's all on the patch
Don't
notes.
worry.
You
We're
can
not
read
done
Very
yet.
well written out.
Shift the shield. Moving on, because these guys want to keep
Moving
complaining
on.
about this show taking long, and they're like, "I'm so sorry it's taking so long." Shut up, and let me do it.
All right, go, go,
Shift
go.
the
Go, go, go,
shield.
go.
Let's go.
2,500 gold down to 2,400 gold. Looking for more aggression in the
Cool.
solo, and
It's a
we
good
just
item,
talked
try
about that. Sunder. Reduced cooldown. Was 140, now 110. Is
I
that the only
love
relic
me
getting
some
changed there?
Sunder.
Yeah, we really feel really good about relics right
Yeah?
now. Really good.
Okay.
There's a lot of counterplay. There's a couple that are really popular, beads, Aegis, Sprint, Shell, etc. But there's a lot of good ones that are just very situational and very good when you need them. Sunder was the real one that felt really weak. Even Bracer I've been doing still gets a lot of use, a lot of fun in casual games. People do really aggressive dive strats. It's really cool. But Sunder wasn't really so good, so we want to be careful with this one. We know how strong it can be. We've been there. So just a cooldown nerf to make it feel better.
All right, that's your item changes for 513.
I miss me a
Got
Sunder
little bit of
meta.
a. If you somehow got lost, on
Holy!
Nice.
Yeah.
That
You got-
graphic's fun.
I
Yeah.
love this graphic.
this is
It helps.
By the way, we did a lot of changes for items. If you couldn't tell,
That's
plenty
a
of
lot
buffs,
of
plenty of
item
nerfs,
changes,
plenty of
folks.
shifts, and some new masks that we're gonna get a chance to test out on the PTS. Please test those on the PTS. That does it for items. What? That's it? I know. I can't.
Can I just
Can't believe
request
there's not
one thing
anymore.
from the mass, by the way, when you all go and test them? Put your Twitter avatar as your favorite mask or the one you think's most OP, and just so I can see the variety of complaints, because I'm expecting all 3 of them are going to get.
They are really nice icons. Although we're still working on
good.
the Rangdas one. That one's getting some updates, but
Cool.
Yep.
I think the
So
Rangers
I
one
guess
was
we
one
did
that
items,
looked
so
OP.
that means we get to do gods now, right?
Gods.
There we
Let's
go.
do.
And
we're
let's-
starting
let's-
off strong.
Let's start off strong
Big
with a bit of a
changes.
rework here. Was that F.'s tears that I just? Did you change that to F.'s tears?
F.
'Cause-
Dot was very involved in the rework, and we made sure that
Yeah.
we got his approval.
Naja?
He was still skeptical, but
Still
it's
skeptical.
hard
Yeah.
when your
That
god
was-
gets reworked. Can I say a quick thing about reworks before we go into it?
Please do.
Just want to make him. I want to make it known that our goals and our strategies with reworks are different than they were in the past. We don't want reworks to feel like we've completely changed the god anymore. We've done this on a lot of gods recently, Xbalanque, Zhongqi, and Guan Yu, where we've made really targeted, big changes, but that really keep the kit as close as it can be.
Right,
So we're
yeah.
trying to look for key problems in the gods.
Could be
and
chalk, could be
ways
chalk,
to bring
yeah.
them back and
Could
give
be
them more
chalk.
interest
Yeah, you're right.
without changing their core identity. And I know we've suffered from that in the past, and you may disagree with this Freya rework as far as following that
Freya?
line of logic, but that's really what we're going for.
Well, you took all my thunder.
I
was
don't
gonna-
associate
it was gonna be a
F.dot
big
with
reveal, but it was a
Freya
Freya
at all.
rework. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I guess.
Freya.
rework. Yeah,
Sorry.
just do it. I guess.
Not even a little. Does he
So
not
the
like
big thing
her?
here is we're reworking the passive, the 1 and the 2. The passive is going to now be Mystic Warrior, and it will be when you use your melee attacks, you will restore a big chunk of your mana, 6% of your maximum mana per every basic attack melee that you do. When you do range attacks, it's only 2% of your max health restored. So kind of that lifesteal passive you had before, but there's a very clear theme of melee versus ranged here that we're trying to focus on.
Okay. So what's going on?
mana,
How do you do ranged versus melee?
So that's the 2. That's actually Aurora Blade is now it's the replacement for Pulse. So when you use this ability, you will actually toggle between ranged and melee attacks. When you put a skill point in, you'll start getting bonus damage on your melees and bonus damage on your range attacks. The melee ones just deal more damage, and again, they restore your mana. The ranged ones are now actually pass through until God. So Izanami type projectiles, you can now actually have that on the wave as you deal damage. So you can toggle that on, but it takes a huge amount of mana per swing. I think at the max rank, it's 58 mana per shot.
Okay.
So you can kind of see here when you activate that, you can actually choose when you want to range attack as freely as you want. Before you had to like pop the stim, and you could only deal the damage during the stim, and then you felt kind of like weak before. Now you can pop this, use the range attacks when you want to, and then you can also turn them off and restore your mana with your melee attacks.
Okay, so that's a change to pulse, but it's always been pulse and irradiate
Yes.
together. So
Right.
so what's the deal with the 1 these days?
No, you got it, Pod. You got
Okay,
this one.
So the
Yes.
change to the 1 is now Northern Lights. This ability is a single attack stim. When you pop it, your next melee or range attack will cause the target that you hit to explode, dealing AoE damage and slowing targets.
Targets.
Yes.
Targets.
So the big
They
thing here
explode.
is like
They
you can
die,
look at
you
the one
win.
here. You can see the toggling between the 2 and the range attacks and the melee attacks. But the next attack you deal will explode, dealing damage in AoE and slowing anyone in an AoE. So you can use this as a very powerful, just immediate burst on a single target. You can also use this with your 2, and remember how the 2 passes through.
Yes.
If you have your 1 active, it passes through all the targets. You hit them all with that attack. It explodes on every target it passes through. The damage is modified so that ranged base, the explosion on minions is a little bit less, so you're not just immediately blowing up the wave.
Okay.
But it does explode at it. So if someone stands in the mini wave and you see them standing there, pop that 2/1, throw it through the mini wave, and have them explode with all the minions around them.
Oh, Banish is still there. Thank God.
And
Yeah,
Banish is still there.
Banish is exactly the same, unchanged.
You have me
And her
scared.
ultimate is getting a slight damage nerf, actually, just to
Yes.
kind of even out her kit. But core goals with Freya was that she was very binary.
Yes.
She did pretty much nothing, and then she just absolutely shredded you.
Right.
We wanted to give Freya players more control, and also even out that power
Interesting
curve. So now the
changes.
toggle, you can stay hunter mode for a much longer time than you could with Pulse Irradiate before. But you're going to run out of mana eventually, and you'll need to earn it back. But you can also, if you don't want to use the range attacks anymore, you can toggle it back off, and you'll get a much bigger bonus damage on her melee attacks. Her melees hit hard.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean,
So
you're-
she is like, so the things that were interesting with us for Freya that we wanted to preserve were that combo feature of her abilities and the synergy,
Jungle
as well as
Freya.
her hybrid style. So she is
I
really
see that
like
now, I see
a
that.
basic attack assassin mage
Yeah.
and a mage ADC, jungler, and she could even flex. Like she has so much ways to play her.
Yeah.
With this new design that we're really excited to find out like which
She
application turns out
might
to be
end
her,
up
her real
real
role,
strong.
but also
now.
that players who like
Real
Freya will be able to
strong.
make her work. We think in a variety of
That-
scenarios.
see,
So the
that
two
right
things she
there-
technically lost on this is she's no longer got a slow,
She does still have the slow on the detonate.
On the detonate one.
But it can only detonate that once at a time.
Right.
So really,
not consistently slowing the same target over and over.
What we love about this rework too is if you're an old school Freya player and you use the pulse for the single pulse and then switch to irradiate for the more bonus damage, it'll feel very similar to that because you do the 1-2.
Right.
Your first shot will pulse and slow, and then you follow up with a bunch of regular shots as well.
Okay. Yeah, you could really see whenever the lower third came down there that the mana, you do consume a decent amount of mana, but you get a ton back.
Yeah, you can see it plus. This one's currently a bug that'll be on PTS, but we'll fix it later on, where it's actually restoring based off your missing mana. It'll actually be max. So you saw there that every swing was actually restoring 35 mana. You can see going up to like 42 mana. Like you restore a lot per melee hit, but it does take a lot to actually cast.
And this
those
design allowed
attacks.
us to buff her melee damage a lot. Like her melee damage hits much harder than her ranged, which is just a cool application of Freya.
Jungle Freya?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jungle Freya.
Definitely back here.
But also, I mean, ADC Freya, even maybe mid lane Freya.
Yeah, really, really exciting. Okay, so the Banished stays the same. Slight nerf on damage to Valkyrie's discretion. That gets a decreased damage per blast. Was 100 to 240, now 80 to 220, so 20 damage off all ranks. And it loses 5% scaling per shot, so 20% if you hit all of them. A pretty substantial damage nerf, but let's be real, Valkyrie's discretion is nuts as is. The real changes here, 1 and 2 get changed. 2 is now a toggle melee / range, but you can leave it on, but it drains your mana per shot. The 1 has the slow on it and will also boost that wave clear up a little bit.
Yep.
And single fire. So yeah, this is our big rework for the patch. Freya has been historically very difficult to balance.
Yes.
Not in that she doesn't have ways we can tweak her, but in ways where when she does tend to be favored by the meta, she takes over.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when she's unfavored, she completely falls out of existence. As well as her play count has been really down lately, so we just wanted to, bring her back and make her more exciting. So hopefully people find this fun.
I, for one, welcome our Freya Overlord. I mean, that's fine.
With those demonic grip buffs.
Oh yeah,
ring buffs were recent, by the way.
They did.
Yeah.
I wonder what that timing was about.
Yeah, Tuckhine's demonic.
So we got another pretty
timing
big
was
change,
about.
but not quite as dramatic as Freya.
Some mini reworks.
Yeah, exactly. Bacchus Sora getting a really exciting change in my mind. Now, Takedown, by the way, this ability has always reduced protections of those you hit by it. It's just like one of those things that everyone doesn't really seem to recognize about this ability. That's his one, the leap. Now it will just cause everyone to take more damage whenever they're landed upon. 10% more.
From all sources.
Yeah.
And so this actually has both implications for your magical damage dealers, but your Butcher's Blade true damage will actually now be augmented by it. Which is just kind of that's kind of the theme of a lot of the changes we did to Bacchus Sora here, was rather than like rework abilities, we took existing parts of his kit, tried to increase the synergy between all the different abilities.
Hey, Pon, didn't you used to play a lot of Freya jungle back in the day?
I did.
And
hey, Pon,
you
didn't you play a lot of Bacchus Sora back in the day?
Yes, I did.
Oh, when's the Zeus buff coming, huh?
Hey, look. Mages took over for a little bit. I can have my time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pon is a fan of these like fringier gods that are not usually considered meta or often not as popular. So that's why they're getting changed.
This is the Pon stuff buff.
I'm super excited for this. This is like my
this was
favorite
gonna be
thing.
insane. Eat minion also getting a buff, decrease the post-fire animation time from 0.7 to 0.2 seconds.
Wow,
that's a big deal.
That's a lot. But also this little indicator right here that shows you who can be eaten at any given time. This will make those who might not play as much Bacchus Sora as Pon does have much more success with this.
As a more normal, average Bacchus Sora player, I've been really appreciating this in our playtests. As you are killing those buff camps, that blue jaws will just light up and you can just gobble.
Yeah, before you'd have to like check, like, okay, can I eat this big camp now? No. Okay, I'll hit one more time. Can I eat it now? Okay, now I can.
A little bit easier there for you. Okay, and then Regurgitate. This is my favorite one.
Oh my god.
Okay, so increase the projectile speed from 80 to 120. Let's just move past that because Bacchus Sora may now choose to eat his own minion pets from this ability.
So let me get this right. He eats something, he vomits it up, and then consumes it again.
Just like
it says gross.
Just like whenever King Neptune eats the Krabby Patty for the first time. That was so good, I think I'll have it a second time. that is this change.
You should have saved that for a tweet, man. You
I'm going to. Don't worry.
Don't steal that.
Now no one can take it from me. I've already claimed it. Alrighty, so that's the Bacchus Sora changes.
Well, yeah, and
Wow,
I just want to point out why
please
a lot
do.
of these changes are happening. One of the big things he brings is like the ability to actually really pressure early on and mid on. But once he gets to late game team fights, where he actually has to start diving
Very
into the enemy team, he's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
And part of that
That
comes
could
down
work.
to he doesn't contribute as much damage to help his team. But also when he ults, he becomes a single target that you can focus.
Nothing like eating
he
your
loses his
vomited
passive
minion.
if he's in a team fight away from minions. He also loses the protection that he could have if he's not by minions, and so that makes his ability to actually fight very binary. And so by actually having control to be able to
More
either
Bacchus
eat a
Sora
minion to get
videos,
your passive
maybe.
back up again, or eat a minion to get the protection and heal,
Maybe.
so you can keep fighting, really helps Bacchus Sora actually play in those late game fights.
Okay, exciting stuff there for Bacchus Sora. Next up, Apwash. Getting some more changes now for Apwash. Undead Surge will increase the zombie's thrown from 1-1 to 2-2. Basically, the first 2 points, you only threw 1 zombie. Now at all ranks, you will throw
I
2
have to put
zombies.
3 points in that at the start of the game, so I can get 2.
It's awkward. It changes the targeter size, which causes people to miss and like clip walls with it and stuff like that. So it was an interesting concept, but
That's
we're
a
just
big
gonna
buff.
smooth that one out.
And then Empty the Crypts, the ultimate enemies hit by this have 20% healing reduction applied.
What?
That stacks up to 3 times and will last for
Oh,
5 seconds.
no,
Kind
they're
of
really
doubling
pushing
down
this
on his
whole
identity
Wash
as an
thing.
anti-heal mage.
Exactly, aggro.
Guys.
Oh man, I nailed it there.
Yeah, good call.
Projectiles
They're
will now
really
also
pushing this guy.
pass. Wait, hold on. The projectiles will now pass through walls. And
They used to get
structures
stopped.
and players.
Stuff they would hit would stop them. Those
Sure.
little guys. Now they just go through and continue hitting.
And it'll now persist after death.
Correct.
Yeah, correct.
Bringing it back.
No, not Pwash meta.
A lot of people
again.
fire off that Opwatch ult. You get, he can get dived on real hard. You fire the ult and you get like 1 tick out of it, and then you're just gone. It feels bad. And there's a lot of abilities that do persist after death. So Opwatch will bring
Feels
that
bad,
back.
dude.
Yep.
Good luck. Have fun.
Okay.
That's ugly.
He rises.
That's
Next.
ugly.
Batch of changes. These
Yes.
are, we're going to get a bunch of different passive reworks here that we're going to go over.
Oh,
and
wow.
they all have one theme in common.
Okay.
We are taking crit passives out.
We
Yep.
want to
Whoa,
avoid
bye,
early game,
Artemis!
very low percentage chance crit. It just has too much RNG, too much impact on the game. This could be, very fun, interesting feature to a lot of people, but especially at the high level pro meta, getting those Artemis crits randomly and very often early game causes the whole match to swing.
Right.
When really you're not doing anything right or wrong. It just
Yes,
happens.
exactly.
So we want these gods to still have good synergy with crit builds if you want to go that way.
Yep.
But we're keeping, it's okay for us, we think, to have crit on true ability stims like Naja stim and like Jingwei's explosive bolts, but the passives that just give it to you for free at like level 1 are being reworked.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start with Artemis. You mentioned her. Still Target is the name of her new passive. Her basic attacks will now deal 30% more damage to enemy minions and 10% more to enemy gods who are CC'd by anything. So she will really
Interesting.
set herself up for great success with Caledonian Boar, suppress the
That's
insulin,
actually
Especially that
interesting,
trap.
though.
yeah,
It's
the,
a
the
long
trap.
CC.
So you're still going to get crushed by Artemis.
So 115% scaling on her basics while you're in the trap, and those crits will double that.
My favorite thing is the name change of that.
That actually could
Actually, the name is the
be-
same.
Name is the same. It
was
actually
always
just
called still.
super works well.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
that's
I
the
thought it had
name.
some stupid Artemis name,
That
probably
could be
knowing
a
it.
better
No, that was actually it the
passive
whole
than
time.
what
We
she
thought that
has
was
right
special.
now.
Oh, wow.
And shout
Okay.
outs to pro feedback on that one too.
I actually didn't know what it was called. Like, it was something
Shout outs to
stupid,
pro
but
feedback
now
on
it's
this. I'm
something
sure they
useless.
helped a lot.
Still Target. And you mentioned Naja
That's
as well.
strong.
Naja has crit in his passive. Will now have
No,
a
he
new
doesn't.
passive. He,
Still has
not
crit in
anymore.
his stim, but not in his passive.
That's right. Buff stacks will now no longer provide critical strike chance from Righteous Spirit, his passive. Instead, these buff stacks will provide 0.5% movement speed and 1 physical power per stack.
God.
So if you aren't a big
That
Naja
could be
player, you
even
can get up
better,
to 20
too.
stacks from that passive. So
Yep.
you can get a significant amount of movement speed and
That's
power.
so strong.
Yeah, and this also works well with the ultimate that has good scaling. When it crits and you can apply mouse stuff or mouse to it as
Gosh.
well, it really helps. When you sash and
They
you
took
have your
away
two
their
stim,
crit
you
passive,
can still
they
crit
gave
with
them
that.
freaking
So
OP
you still have the
passive.
ability to crit even without necessarily building crit. But the
Forget
early
the
RNG of being able to like you're
randomly
clearing a jungle
OP. How
camp, you're
about the
clearing
just
speed, and you get
OP?
the 4th hit, and all of a sudden it crits and you blow up the camp. Your clear speed just
10%
infinitely went up.
movement.
That doesn't
Yeah.
happen as much anymore.
But you do get 20 free power.
I see it as a strong
Yes.
buff to Naja and his
Yeah.
overall
Yeah,
it is a
consistency.
strong
It's going
buff.
to be
Yeah,
better
he'll be
for
much
his
more
abilities,
consistent.
better for his lane poke when he rotates it with the rings. Very excited for this.
I mean, it's not like Naja's been tearing it up
Gosh.
recently, right? I
yeah,
mean,
he's had some popularity amongst the pros and relatively weak across the board for the average player.
Yeah, just because Sino's playing it doesn't mean that everyone's playing Erlong Jungle either. You know what I
True.
mean? Like,
True.
there are the Naja specialists out there, but this will help out all of us pleb Najas on the battlefield. Hunbats, he's got a crit passive, so now he's got a different passive. Infused Strikes, now this buff now has no duration. Instead, it will remain until he successfully hits a target. It will no longer provide that 30% crit chance. Instead, this will now cause Hunbat's next basic attack to deal 20% more damage.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you're getting mini crits, but they're a little bit...
And then that amount can be included in the crit.
Wait,
Right,
what?
so just like a Hydra's pass.
Yeah, so it will double.
He
that.
basically has Hydra's pass.
Instead of from 100 to
Yes.
200, he will
That's
go from 120 to 240.
Yes,
okay,
Hydra's,
that's
dude,
a
can
lot.
you imagine
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
Hunbat's
So
with a
it
freaking
literally is
Hydra's
just
on
Hydra's
top of
passive.
that?
Yeah.
As a passive, pretty
Lots of increased
Wow.
consistency. Still having that playstyle of using abilities
Wow,
and bonus
that's
damage that kind of Hydra's
strong.
and his passive encouraged. Still works well with crit builds as a whole. Pretty good changes. for
Encouraging
robots.
in-hand cancels and
Yep.
weaving in basics between abilities, which is really fun on Assassins.
Hunbat's also getting a couple extra changes besides just the passive. His
Some
overhead
quality of
smash.
life.
No longer affected by directional movement penalties while this ability is firing.
Oh, that's
so you
OP.
can-
Speedy monkey.
Yeah, you can
Wow.
He'll be
He can
floating
juke around now.
Yeah,
he
That
can
is
juke
very
while
strong.
smashing.
a little bit.
Oh my god.
Fear no
I
evil.
love
Sorry.
juking when I smash.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
you
everyone.
can juke
Fear no evil.
while
Moving on.
smashing.
Fear no
says
evil,
Ajax.
making it a little bit easier to deploy. You can now deploy this in walls, so you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, and I
dropping
wouldn't
total.
recommend it most of the time because
No.
you might not hit people. But the problem was there was some. If you're in a tighter spot of the jungle and you don't want to get blocked by like random blocking volumes that are just right near you and stuff like
Yeah.
that, we want to make sure when you blink in on that, it goes off.
Okay. Robin is getting a pretty big shift. He doesn't have any crit in his passive. We're past that point.
That's good.
Look at that line.
Robin
But,
is now
hey,
an assassin.
he's an assassin.
Well, they wanted an assassin,
Well,
guys. So you gave
then.
him one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we gave you Achilles,
I mean, he
and
was-
so you've gotten two kind of assassins.
We gave you Achilles.
Achilles and Robin, you gotten two. Well, there is an assassin coming. Pele's an assassin, so soon. But yeah,
Let's
Robin
be
is an
real.
assassin, though.
Robin was
Clearly
already an
players were playing
assassin.
him like
Let's
one.
be
Yes.
real.
Yeah.
Much more often than Warrior.
Yes.
Solo lane Robin we haven't seen in years.
Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Been a long
Actually,
time.
years.
The god has had a lot of adjustments, so we figured we'd go all the way, finish him up, make him a real true assassin. So
Might as well finish
it's
it
a
off.
slew of base stat changes. You're gonna read them all. It's a lot.
Yeah, I guess
You
I
gonna
kind of have
actually read
to
them all?
because sort of decreased HP, base HP, loses 50 base HP. He loses some HP per level, loses some base HP 5. Increased the
gets-
HP 5 per level though, because that is in line with how assassins usually are in
Correct.
relation to how warriors are. You decrease the base MP5 by a little bit. Also decrease the MP5 per level by a little bit. This is the bigger ones. Decrease base physical protection from 16 down to 13. Doesn't seem like a lot, but you'll feel it. Increase the basic attack power from 35 to 39, so that it will help him with his jungle clear. Increase the basic attack power per level from 2 to 2.2, and increase the attack speed per level from 1 to 1.7. So that's actually a pretty big one.
He's almost
0.7.
could be played as
Yeah.
a basic attack assassin,
And it
especially with his
his
ability to
passive,
protect
yeah.
himself. It could be really good.
Yep.
Especially with his passive, which also got a
Yeah.
change. Didn't have any
Oh.
crit chance in it, but the shield didn't feel quite
Okay.
as warrior-y. Wanted to give a change there, I suppose.
Yes.
So first of all, you'll now gain stacks
Okay.
from structures, just a little bit of a quality of life change there. But you gain stacks per target hit as well, so that'll help out when you're clearing jungle camps and things
And
like
if
that.
when you rotate through the wave,
Yep.
And bonus 3% movement speed per stack while the shield is active. So still has
up
the
to
shield,
9%.
Right.
but it'll go up to 9% potentially. More about getting him around the jungle and
Oh,
making him
why is
feel like
everybody
a
get
true
so much
assassin.
movement speed?
That's what all these changes are for, is to make sure that we.
That-
It's not just
so that
base
way
stats
when
that
he's
make a
clearing
character an assassin or
camps.
warrior, but slight tweaks to the ability.
Okay,
also
to get
help
bonus
make
movement
that work.
speed.
Sure.
And
10
he's
hand Shadow
got
Fist, that's
his
the
speed
3.
buff, which is
increase the physical
stacking
power
off of
scaling
camps
55%.
that gives him
70%.
movement speed.
We're already
And
building
he's got
damage,
his
Robin.
new mask
Gonna feel a
that
little bit
gives
better
him
now.
movement speed.
Overhead kick. This one, a bit of a shift was, the cooldown was 20, and it would scale down 2 seconds per rank down to 12 seconds. Now it will be 18, scaling down to 14. So a lot of pro Robins had started
Everybody's
to level
a
2 right after
jet
Onslaught,
airplane
but one to get
now.
that decreased
Everybody gets
cooldown.
movement speed.
That strategy is a little bit worse now,
Yeah.
but you can
Yeah.
you can afford to level your 3 and not have that 20
Oh,
second base.
God.
Yep.
They also have
Perfect.
changed
That's
his name to
Robin
Race
for you.
Car.
So basically, he's now got assassin stats, so he's going to kill you quicker, but he should die.
Man.
Yes, in like one of the fights we had, like he was noticeably squishier.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
So a little bit more traditional to what you would expect out of your jungle selection.
Okay.
Also for me,
God,
I would
everybody's
always
so
just be like,
fast
all right,
now.
I'm jungling. What do I want? I'm in the assassin tab. I totally forget about Robin, and then I'm like, oh, Robin would have been perfect here. That is
Yeah.
a personal buff.
and
for
you
me.
will see him now in the assassin tab, and it feels a little weird the first time. but
Everybody
Yeah, I
except
bet.
for Zeus.
All right, you'll get
it'll get
Zeus
there.
is
You'll get
still
used to it.
rooted
We
in
got used to
place at
seeing
the start of
Nemesis
the
there, I
match.
suppose.
Yep.
Anubis is next up on the list. Nothing major for the Goob Master. Just a couple mana cost reductions. Plague of Locust decreased the mana cost. It was 60 to 100. Now will be 60 to 80, so just bringing it off the top end. Grasping Hands, that was 70 to 110. Will now be 70 to 90. Also, just off the top end. Anubis, I mean, those mana costs are really,
Yeah,
really
110.
high.
Yeah,
and
they were
100
very
are
high.
rough.
So just some updating there. And now we're into the more, we don't have as many themes to the upcoming balance. This is more general God balance now.
Right.
So that was all the big stuff. Now we're going to God balance.
Well, let's move on then to Baron.
Man, this is a
Samedi.
patch note. Let me tell you.
He's been pretty good,
you,
hasn't he?
you missed a huge one for Apollo.
Oh,
Graham.
Wow.
You sure did.
guys.
Ultimate description.
Fix the ultimate description. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, sorry
you can,
about that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Fixed an
Forgive
old description.
me for skipping that.
Thank you.
We're happy
Come on,
now?
guys.
Yes.
Cool. Baron
get through
Samedi.
this.
He's been a bit strong.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little?
He was really strong. We nerfed him. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're gonna nerf him again.
Okay, here's the nerfs. Hysteria. The skull that appears to show a player is affected by hysteria has now been offset to help players see while affected. Good, because that was
Move
really
that over to the
annoying.
side.
Vivid gaze, damage decreased. It was 80 to 280. It's now going to be 60 to 240.
Yeah, nerf this guy.
And the
Yeah,
scaling is
nerf
going
him.
down on this as well, from
Nerf
70% to
him.
60%.
Nerf him.
After that, Consigned Spirit, we're decreased to heal.
Nerf him.
It was plus 15% of a target's missing health. It's now going to be 12.5%. Wrap it up as well. Changed slow to root to a new CC term, ramp to root.
Yes.
Ramp.
The
to
ramp
root.
up to root is considered a root for all CC immunity purposes, and if it is cleansed, it will result in the full root not
Okay.
applying. Decrease the damage over time and Hysteria AoE duration from 4 seconds to 2.5 to match the ramp to
Honestly,
root
they're
effects.
changing so much
This
on Baron
causes
right
the
now
overall
so
damage
fast I
this
can't even.
ability does to go from 80 to 336 is now going to be 50 to 210. But the actual power percent bonus, it was 40%, going to be 25% as well. So lots of nerfs in different areas here. Heals coming down.
That was just a lot of numbers very
Classification
fast.
of his
He got
wrap up
nerfed.
to make it a little bit easier
He
to
got
distinguish.
nerfed.
If anything, Chronos.
New
Chronos
nerfs.
will
He's
also be on this
Ta-da.
design. Right, okay.
He's
Yep.
ramped to stun.
Gotcha.
So we were getting a lot
yes.
of confusion with like, it's a slow and a root. Is it a slow or a root? It's like, it's kind of weird, but really the whole intent behind the design was it is a root that builds up. And they're like, what's the percent of the slow? And I'm like, it's not. It builds up to a root. It gets
Yeah.
stronger over time. And so we did this on both Baron and Chronos. They count as just
Yeah.
a root or a stun. And they work consistently across immunities.
So as it's ramping up, can you now, that's now saying that I could beads that as it's ramping and it won't
Yeah,
affect
it'll cleanse the whole thing.
But being slow, anything changing slows will not affect these abilities anymore.
Right. Now,
Which they already weren't. If you actually
Right.
had Wing
They
Blade
already
and
weren't.
Cronus hit you,
So this
you
is more
weren't
of
actually immune.
a description clarity than actual design change.
and roots in particular have a this is a much more higher level question. they are calculated differently for diminishing returns. They only classify against each other in that category. Does the ramp to root change the root duration because of the DR?
It's
a good
the way
question.
it's kind of done in the back end is we actually have category codes that kind of describe things and how they work. It is a root.
It's root.
Okay.
So the end root can be reduced if you've been previously rooted, but it
But-
shouldn't be reducing itself.
Yeah.
It's just one root.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, that's
Also
Baron
on
Samedi.
the balance side of things, so we didn't actually talk about that too much. The focus for him was he's more of a kind of this utility mage that brings a lot
That
of
was a
effects
lot
to
of
his team.
words.
He has the heal, he has the movement speed cleanse, he has the CC he can bring.
That was
the
way
hysteria
too
stacking has a
in-depth.
lot of impact, and a lot of that was getting overshadowed by just the amount of damage he was dealing. So we're toning down the base damage on the 1, toning down the base damage on the 3, which actually did contribute quite a bit of damage.
Oh, yeah.
I think people kind of underestimated how much it was dealing.
Yeah.
And also making it so that that area that occurs now matches the actual ramp to root effects. That'll also make it so that the AoE duration that people can be hit by the snake is also reduced.
That's cool.
So just toning down a few aspects of his kit to really also highlight on different aspects, mainly the hysteria benefits he provides.
We're gonna make him a utility mage, no matter how hard we have to.
No matter how hard you have to
We'll
try.
get there.
Utility.
We will say the word utility and mean it.
Thank you.
Say it
Changa
and
is
mean
next
it.
up on the list,
Don't
and Changa's
one-shot
going to
people
get
anymore.
two
There we
changes.
go.
Crescent Moon Dance is going to go from 5 seconds to 6 seconds in cooldown,
Oh.
and Waxing Moon decreased ult damage. It was 160 to 460.
Oh, but the ulti now
It's
ends
gonna
on
be
420?
160 to
Blaze it.
420. Hey, blaze
She's
it.
just really gotten strong lately, popular in pro meta. Just making some slight nerfs, normal stuff. Not trying to change her identity or anything crazy here. Just toning her down.
Okay, and yeah, she's been seeing a lot of it, so that makes a lot of sense. Chronos next up. It's very similar to what we just talked about
Okay.
with Wrap It Up, Stop
same
Time,
thing.
change slow to
People were
stun
mentioning
to a
in
new
chat the
CC
Chronos.
term.
Same
Ramp
thing.
to stun.
Ramp to
the ramp up
stun.
to stun is considered a stun for all CC immunity purposes, and if it is cleansed, it will result in the full stun
Same
for not
thing.
apply.
And this does have slight rules change. The biggest clear case of it is, like, for example, I have Magi's. Before,
Right.
if you were hit by it, you would actually slow to a halt, and then when the stun would try and apply, that's when Magi's would get cleansed. Now it actually cleanses immediately.
So Magis will be consumed immediately.
As
on
if you were
the
hit
use of
by a
it.
stun immediately.
Yeah,
So it's actually a
because-
good buff for those in that way as well, because they can get rid of those Magis without having to
Cool.
wait for it
Yeah.
to be effective.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Should just be more clear all around.
Yep.
After that, then it's on to Cupid.
Oh, this is exciting.
This
Here
is
we
fun.
go.
change the head size? No.
Increase camera height.
from 36 to 64
Wow.
to give Cupid players a more consistent camera angle compared to other gods.
Yeah, we have a lot of gods who are taller than each other and can see further, but we don't have a lot of gods who are actually shorter.
Right.
Like
Scylla and Cupid, right?
And I think like even Ratatoskr though, he was made sure that he was the same camera height as normal assassins, even though he's shorter.
Gotcha.
So we bumped up Cupid just to make him feel a little better.
Is that back to like every other hunter's sort of level?
Yeah, the camera angle should now be the same as like Apollo, the average height hunter.
Nice.
Okay.
But Zeus and Sylvanus and stuff, gods like that, still have higher ones, but we'd want to avoid these lower ones. If Scylla's is lower too, I will take a look at that.
For the average player, why is there a big difference between camera height
funny.
there? For people that don't really understand it, why are we doing that? What's the intention?
So part of it is just feels, right? When you're actually that low to the ground, you can often lose the ability to see the kind of the overview of a fight.
Right.
If a whole bunch of abilities are being thrown, you just don't get that feel of actually having the field of view. I mean, there's a few really high level areas where like you might be able to see around a wall. If you're like Sylvanus, which has a very high camera height, you might be able to see around a wall.
Okay.
But those are so limited and doesn't even apply to characters that are like 64 height anyway.
I
This
just
is
think a lot
really
of
just to
people-
get Cupid to see the fight a bit more clearly.
I just think a lot of people will go into the game and maybe panic, going, "Why is it like this? This feels really awkward." But there's reason for
It's
that.
pretty subtle
Yeah.
too. I don't think people will
Yeah.
notice a huge change. So.
Hades is next up, and this is a buff to
one's actually really
blight.
Yeah.
Now has a debuff effect that lowers the target's magical or physical power by 5%.
Okay,
So once
sure.
you're effectively
Why not?
5% less damage.
Yeah, so this one's funny. People have been asking for this forever, but we didn't want to do it. And we didn't do it because Hades
didn't
could
wanna do
remove
it.
Blight. So it's weird to have like a debuff effect that then Hades would then cleanse.
But now he can't get rid of it.
So now he
I
can't because
can't.
we've changed Katie's kit a few times to
Cool.
make Blight just stack and detonate and stuff like that without being removed. So now we can put an effect on it. So since he's a close target AoE
That's fine.
mage, we want him to be able to protect himself a little bit more. So he's going to debuff his opponent's
fine.
damage output.
Yep.
Okay, only 5 gods left to go.
Oh,
Carly,
I'm sad we're almost done though. Such a
passive
fun-
assist
such a
bonus
good patch.
increase. Increase heal on assist from 15% to 20%. That's a really good buff.
Okay, that's
Actually,
nice.
for Carly there, just in terms of that. Kukulkan, we're buffing him on top of these items. You guys, you're going to make me play
He's
him all
gonna
the
be
time
good.
now.
He was been really suffering in the stats lately, guys.
Well,
I'm
he's not going to be
sorry.
suffering after this.
I
patch, I'll
love
tell you that.
We'll see. People want to say that, but he's not exactly a pro meta god.
Slipstream, first of all, then for Kukulkan, increased movement speed from
Yeah,
40
buddy,
to 80, but it's going to 60 to
20%
80%.
at one
And
point.
Spirit
Nice.
of the Nine Winds, decreased cooldown
Oh,
from 80 seconds
yeah,
to 70
buddy.
seconds.
Yep. Slipstream getting a nice level
Hell
1 buff.
yeah.
And then
Get your
Yeah,
juke shoes on.
The ultimate-
yeah.
it's so well telegraphed.
I'm
too, that you
Ronald
can miss a
cooldown,
lot.
baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
Almost.
Not quite.
Almost.
Not
yeah.
quite. Getting there.
It's nearly there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Although I
It
can't
ranks,
get
yeah,
Chronos.
depending on the
The
rank.
Book of
Rama,
Thoth
after that,
changed
Astral
all these
Barrage
item
fix.
changes.
Brighton Targeter, add the new FX element on his body to convey shots left.
So
That's
total time and
text.
ult.
it's yeah, sorry, that's weird. On his targeter now has been updated. That's really it. It's a targeter
Okay.
update. So the ground targeter is brighter. It's easier to see the timer. It's easier to
Right.
see in a fight.
Cool.
And it has orbs floating over it to show how many shots you have left.
Oh, okay, that's
It's
nice.
very and it has a little height to it, which gives you even better depth perception. So
Sure.
just quality of life, no buff, just a feels thing. So
Yep.
I guess we'll find out, when Marvel starts playing if he likes it or not, if it's a good change. But we think people will like it.
Well, if
likes
Marvel doesn't
it's
like
a
it, then
good
we got to
change.
ship it back.
I guess so.
That's
'cause
just-
he's
that's
the
how it's
only
gotta be.
person who plays Rama.
It's got to be how it's got to be.
False, but yes.
Second
False,
to last
but yeah.
god on the list is going to be Surkhet.
Oh,
Catalyst. Decrease the 3
Nice.
poison consumed
I'm always
damage
down
from
for
25%
Surkhet nerf.
max HP
Always
to
down.
20% of the max HP. Deathbane. Fix an issue where enemies would hit only one time, even though 2 area targeters collided with them.
Nice.
This ability's targeter has been updated to better show the areas where the ability hits.
Yes. So when you actually look at it here, the hit area has not changed at all. This is actually the hit area.
Right.
And,
it just now actually conveys
see it
the hit
better.
area.
That's interesting.
So
I'm just gonna run around with that on.
It's
'cause I like it.
it's always been like that. Trust us.
Yeah.
But the problem was this targeter is really hard to convey because of the way it morphs.
Right.
So we used really simple line art just to kind of show the zigzag, but it wasn't very accurate. So what we did is we added this extra
cool,
layer
actually.
over it. And like I said, because of the way it morphs and shifts, we can't art this up too much more. But the effects team did a really good job of making it
That's cool.
really fit our design needs.
Yeah.
So this is the only fix is being that sometimes you could zigzag through people if you were right on the edge of the zigzag. It would only hit once, even though
Yeah.
she clearly did 2 of the hits. So now we changed it to make that hit more consistently,
Cool.
and we show the area the way it's actually been hitting all of this time.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
a little bit clearer.
You're gonna waste
Yeah,
too much
so some
time
clarity
just moving
buff
it around.
for her, really, but then 2
Ooh,
numerical.
zigzaggy.
buffs.
And here's even a numerical nerf, by the way. Last Breath decreased from 210 to 690 is now
Oh,
going to be
yeah,
200
nerf it.
to 640. 40 of this as well now. So
Love me Surkhet
small nerf
nerfs.
in the early game, bit more of a nerf in the late game
Love
for base
it.
damage there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, largely targeting the tank kind of builds where you had the more tanky build and you could just deal a lot of damage.
Right.
If she still builds offensive, she's going to chunk you really hard, but these flat values that were just not scaling off anything, a little bit toned down.
And last, for the summer patches.
Oh, I'm sad that it's
there.
over,
The
but
last god on this list is Zhonghui nerfs. Yes.
Oh, about
At least I
time.
think- Yeah, they both nerfs. Good. Cool.
Yeah.
Demon Bag. The protections on the passive, reduced
fine. He
protections.
needed to be
they
nerfed. He
used
was
to
too
be
strong.
1 per stack. It's going to be
They overtuned
0.8
him.
per stack. So does that work out at top end then? Is that just
it's 10 off the top.
10 off the top, so 30 total, and then doubled to
Yes.
60.
And that will affect, that will affect the way his ultimate works as well.
Book of Demons, his stun. It's going to get a bit of a reduction. It was freaking long anyway.
Yeah,
it was
long.
0.7 up
It
to
was way
1.1.
too
It's going to be
long.
0.6
Way
up to
too
1
long.
second. Obviously, that can double in duration if you've got the card applied, and I
So-
think that's why.
So we had just buffed that, but we went back to a place in between.
That's fair.
Which we do a lot. And
Yes.
it often works out well when that's the case. So we were really surprised at actually how much Zhonghui shot up in the stats.
Oh,
in
yeah.
both popularity, surprisingly, and performance. So, yeah.
Well, the one last thing to
good.
really show you then is the graphic at the end
That's
of
a
all
nice
that.
graphic.
And
That's
that's
crazy
a
than the
little
item
look
was.
at, that's just gods, by the way.
nice
Just
one.
a little
Yeah.
breakdown of
This
what's
is
going on
this
there.
is a great mid-season patch.
I want to see a
guys.
combined one now.
Yeah, just bring them all together, the items and the gods.
I think
Where are you
we-
going to put the matchmaking changes, though?
I
The
mean, yeah, we
report
should have a
changes?
graphic that just says matchmaking changes. And That's
Yeah.
it. You know,
It's-
a lot of quality of life. The bug fix list is really
It's a
exciting. Trust me, when you get that
huge
patch notes
patch.
out later today. They're really long, so they're taking us time to write, so they'll be out a little later after the show.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm really happy with this patch. The team has been working super hard, hitting a lot of old school requests.
Yes.
Really hard to solve. Like, those things they weren't procrastinated on. They're really hard to solve. That's what took us so long. So Stu really got over here and has been doing a lot of work with me to make sure we find these really impactful changes.
Well, that's your balance and all that kind of stuff for the
Stu.
mid-season patch, but we still got to go through those new skins we've got, and we've also got a
You're
lot of
so
cool
right.
information waiting for you from La Tigris
I love
and
Stu.
Isaiah over at the desk.
Hey.
Thanks, Aggro. As he said, let's Tigris here with hi-rez. Isaiah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Pretty good. That's
quiet.
a lot to digest.
I know.
A huge patch.
So many changes. It's super exciting. And they didn't even get a chance to go through it all. There's like so much stuff.
Which is why it's great we have all the information through social media and stuff
That's
that you can
right.
check up
Yeah.
on later. And we have a couple updates here. It gives you a bit of a chance to digest all the information that was just thrown at you. First off, on the esports side, not many announcements, but really action-packed. First of all, the 21st and 22nd is our console LAN coming up. You're looking
Okay.
forward to having all those teams
Oh,
here?
yeah. I'm super excited. Love watching the Xbox.
Are we in
Xbox
season
boys
6
go at
now?
it.
I think
Super
so,
exciting
yeah.
Every time they
This is
come to
basically
the skill
season
shot
6.
lands.
I must say, there's some of the most vibrant personalities as well.
Yeah,
So it's great
it's
having that
really
energy
cool.
here in the studio. And then if you want any more information on esports, our Esports Weekly segment on Monday will be our LAN preview show. So not just covering console, but all the PC content to come up afterwards. So that's esports side, what we got on community.
On the community side, just a couple things. The first thing, I wanted to touch on something that we didn't get a chance for AJ and Pond to cover. For the midseason update, we have a really exciting change for our console players, speaking of console. I'm happy to announce in 5.13 we will be introducing a mini-map editor. So console players will now have the ability to adjust the position of the mini-map,
Nice.
its scale, and its opacity, which is really exciting. It's been a community-requested feature for a super long time.
The whole customizable
That's right.
experience on console. I love when we're bringing those new features.
Exactly, yeah. And speaking of new features and new parties,
Cool.
this weekend is a Party
Yes.
Up weekend. So call your friends, get excited about the
Party
new
up.
midseason update, get your gods
Let me
ready
hear
to
some
practice
noise.
up. As long as you're playing in a party of 2 or more, you'll be able to earn 2 times worshippers, favor, and XP this
Party
weekend.
time.
Nice. Do you have some go-to party members that you normally
Oh,
play
I've
with?
definitely got some go-to party members. A couple people here in the studio. We play console all the time, so I've definitely got my squad ready for this weekend.
So
Okay.
what does it take to become a part of your squad for
just
the
hit
party?
me up on Twitter. I'm always
Yeah?
looking for people to play
Wow.
with. So hit me
Low
up on
barrier
Twitter,
to
on Xbox,
entry.
PS4.
Just need a
hit
Twitter
me up.
account.
We'll play some games.
Not very
Heard it
elite.
That's
there
right.
First, folks. What else we got?
Don't even
All right,
rate.
last but not least, we had a ton of stuff announced just now for the midseason update.
we did.
Tons of
We
item
did,
changes,
yeah.
balance
I
changes
was
for
there.
gods, as well as including features like matchmaking and all new player behavior features. So
Cool.
I just want to remind
Right.
you guys that your participation on PTS is super important for us to be able to find issues early. That way we fix
They need
issues.
my
And I'm happy to announce
participation?
that For PTS, we'll actually be running an event to where if you play on PTS, you'll have the opportunity to earn gems on your live account.
Wow.
So the event will work similar to our
does
Gemstorm
he do
events.
it?
If you win games on PTS, you'll be able to earn gems on your live account. And we'll have details posted later today.
Incredible.
You're telling me you can try everything out that you just heard about and then also earn gems while doing it?
That's right.
I think that's a pretty done deal.
How do they
A lot
do
of cool
it?
stuff coming on the community and esports side. We know that you're looking forward to the skins that we
That's
have
right.
on lock, and Aggro is right on by with that, so let's go take a look.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, back on the casual set. I got rid of those other losers. I didn't
About
need them
time, Aggro.
anymore, except for Pon Pon and AJ. They're both nice. They're not losers.
That's
Graham's
racist.
the
You
loser,
can't
is what
play
I'm trying to
PTS.
say. Instead, I've got some cool people here to help me talk about these skins. It's
That's
Ben
console list.
and it's John joining me here on the casual set. First of all, guys, thank you for joining me here.
Is
John, this is
John
your first
new?
time on the Patch
Oh.
Notes show. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself
Apparently.
to everybody?
Hi, I'm John Wynn, and I'm
Hi,
the lead
John.
animator on Smite.
Lead animator. So
Oh, wow.
we got the
That's
king
cool.
coming through.
John, all he does is win.
All he does is win. That's
the
it.
middle name.
He can't stop winning.
It's in the name, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. Well,
What
let's get right
is
into it
that?
then. Well, let's start with
Racist.
Plushy Ganesh. We got a chance to see this right off the rip here at the update show, and I've been waiting to see the in-game effects ever since, and I truly, truly mean that.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite skins we've done in a while. This is, we've got our fair share of badass skins in this patch, but this one kind of there to lighten the mood.
Look
It's soft and
at
it's cozy, man.
that
Warm and fuzzy. It's
freaking
definitely a different take than we usually do,
elephant.
but we thought it'd be appropriate that he gets something friendly. He's a friendly guy, you know.
I just want to snuggle him. Like
God,
he's made
if
out of
only
yarn.
Ganesh wasn't such a freaking
He
trash
looks
can of a
so
character.
comfortable. Different sort of material that,
Yeah.
that really gave it a lot of texture.
Yeah,
That
so
is
it's just
a
like kind of
cute
like a
skin,
cloth look
but
to it.
God, I
basically.
hate Ganesh. I
I'm not
really
getting into
hate
the
it.
technicals, but
It's not like I
yeah,
dislike him,
the
like,
way
I
the lighting
hate
works and stuff,
Ganesh.
it's very very fluffy looking.
Yeah, Ben's team did a great job on it. It actually feels like it's woven together. It feels really soft. So.
And of course, he's got the yarn to roll. I mean, that
I
logically
guess I can turn it back up a
makes a
little
lot
bit,
of
probably.
sense. That's the turn of fate.
So we can hear the abilities better now that.
That's so good.
And he sounds friendly too.
Yeah, it sounds very friendly. Also, I see here that this is the same voice actor as the base Ganesh.
That's right.
So it adds into that sort of. And Ganesh is one of those gods that everyone always says they love the voice pack, they love the idea and how it's done. There's his ultimate, the Dharmic pillars. This one, it looks really, really good. Oh, they all
This
fall
is
apart.
like little pillows.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so
the old
cute.
pillars like they crumble, like rocks and stuff. But these they kind of fall apart like just like the tower pillows.
Yeah, it's a little pillow fort
Yeah.
there for you as we slow it down so you can see
There you go.
just how
Pillow
Ganesh
fort,
constructed his
pillow
It's all
fort.
velvety too.
Does whatever
It's
that
classy
pillow
too,
fort
man.
does.
Very
Some
nice.
pillars.
Pillar.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
going
that's
for?
good.
Yeah, you
That's
guys
good.
got
try.
it.
I like
Good
that.
try.
Yeah, fair enough.
Four.
Believe he has a VXG
Yeah.
to show off. Let's
One
take a
of
look at
those
There we
that.
go.
What? He bounces.
So keeping with making it fun and making it lively and stuff. This was done by one of our
I'm just not
animators,
interested in
Brock.
Ganesh. Like,
Did an excellent job.
I don't
He
even
kind
think
of
I can
strikes
face
these poses as
myself
you move in
interested in
certain
Ganesh, you know?
directions. Yeah, it's just fun stuff.
So you get a
I like
different
the ball
jump
roll,
based on
though.
what
That's
direction
pretty
you're moving
excellent.
at the time.
Yeah, so if you go forward, back, left,
That's
and
pretty
right,
top
those
tier.
are the jumping
I'll give it
animations,
that.
and
Okay.
the other directions you just roll.
So cool. This is potentially the best.
he has,
best
in
VXG.
fact, been
Yeah, that's
all
pretty
of
good.
God.
That is
But he's the support he is.
incredible. That
Support is
animation
probably
was
why I don't like
just
him.
amazing.
Let's
Let's
be
take a listen to
real.
the voice pack here for Plushy Ganesh.
Let's be real.
You are so special. That was amazing. I'm the cutest. Don't be mean. Ganesh has Bacchus Sora passive on him right now. You are so special. Are balloon animals as smart as puppies? No, they are airheads. My girlfriend once.
That's Tina right
He
there.
was adorable.
Plushy Ganesh coming to you in the mid-season update here in
Plushy
5.13. I'm excited. That's all I have to say
Makes
about
you
that.
feel
He may
warm and
look
fuzzy.
like
It
a
really
Ganesh,
does. Like
but
even
it's
when
really
my
Bacchus
duel
Sora
is getting
in
bodied, I was
disguise.
looking in the eyes of this Plushy Ganesh and be like, you
I
know
don't want
what?
to hit him.
He's
I
gonna
don't
come
want to
by
hit him. I'll
and
hug
eat you
him.
as
It's
an
gonna be
elephant.
He just ganks you and then he rolls away.
Yeah, see you later. Oh man, that's gonna be so troll. I'm so excited about this skin. All right, Hellscape Kernan is next on the list. This one is part of
Cool
the
skin.
Divine Uprising event. You can get this as part of your way to complete the Voodoo section of the Divine Uprising. That'll earn you
Voodoo
the
section.
Half-Life Baron Samedi skin towards the back end, which we will be going over shortly. This one, the very opposite of what we just saw on the plushie ganache. This one is spooky.
Exact
Yeah, this is a throwback to Chuck times.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
We made sure he was checking it out as we were doing it and be like, you approve of this, right?
Yeah, enough skulls here and everything like that. Yeah, perfect. Very, very spooky Kernan skin. Kern's got some really cool skins. I mean, between this one and
that's a good skin.
The one, the kind of digital one.
Yeah.
The one where he's got the nice velvet jacket.
Yep. Oh yeah, the beast one, classy.
Yeah, that one's
just stay
really cool.
Yeah,
you're different, changing. Just looks those trails look a little bit darker on the auto attacks.
Yeah, everything's just a tie into that dark theme. Like his fur has this dark kind of edge to it, then goes into a red. So we try to tie out a lot of that into the effects.
Yeah, the effects team killed it on this one, where you see the brambles now like spikes.
Oh yeah.
Like those are cool. They're
do
like
not want to get stuck in
devil
that.
pitchforks.
That's for sure. Really well defined along the area, but there's plenty of spikes there.
There's a little bit of there's a goat in there.
Wait, in the 2?
No, you'll see.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll see. Well, I think this might be where we see. Oh, they're so evil but cute at the same time.
They got the little weird goat eyes, man.
Cute
goat eyes with the
Wait,
horns
goat eyes are so scary. Wait, they actually have those?
They got them, man.
I don't want them. I don't take them back. I don't. No, not the scary goat eyes.
Camera work right here.
Oh, there they are. They're so spooky. I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't at the same time.
They're
cute,
what I mean. Though, man. You know.
Yeah, I don't know about that anymore. I'm lost on the cuteness factor. Love the little the pentagram that comes down.
Yeah. Keeping with the demonic theme. Yeah.
And this is something that I've been talking about a lot when it comes to these
good
skins,
animation.
and we can kind of quiet down to let you hear it. But the bass effect on the ultimate, like when it detonates, just sounds so meaty. You know what I mean? Here, let's take a listen. Yeah, I'm all about that kind of stuff. I love that sort of effect. All right, let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Hellscape Kernan.
Very well done. That was substantial. I am the goat. I am the goat. You will be consumed by terror. Oh, I love playing devil's advocate. Literally.
Literal.
You all call yourselves the goat, but in reality, I am the one true goat.
I'll accept that one. I'll accept that one.
The VEG is the I'm the goat, but
right.
then he goes in depth. Like that's not enough.
He needs
explains it to you.
Right. He needs to drive that point home to you that he is indeed the goat. Well, someone's got to take care of the goat, and that job might fall to Nightbane Jingwei, kind of the counterpart here. I think it feels like to this Kernan skin. Most Jingwei skins, they're fluffy, they're fun. You know, she's at a pool party. She's at a rock, a punk concert, but she's still like having a good time. She looks like she
super
means
serious
here with this
Jingwei.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do with this one. She has a lot of like fun stuff. We want to do something a little more serious this time, and with the
weapon
Kernan
looks really
style,
cool.
like we're doing something like that there. Maybe we should try that with a little more demon hunter-esque kind of feeling character for this one.
Has the full armor effects to make sure that that's
Kernan hunter. That's
yeah,
the
Kernan hunter. Exactly. That's what it looks like to me. The wings. Kind of a lot of the wings
Very
that like I'm thinking of the demon skin that Jingwei has, not quite as feathery, a little bit more still fluffy.
It looks like
and fun.
almost
This
like
is
a
like
minigun on her crossbow.
some
almost
badass
like raven wings.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the texture that it has as well. Everything, a ton of detail in this skin here.
Yeah, there's a lot of ornate kind of like trims to everything. We really wanted to feel like a witch hunter is where we were trying to go with it. So a lot of those kind of like shapes that kind of
look at that crossbow.
Definitely more serious. Lost the pigtails, kind of have the hood on, very
cool.
serious in tone. Even her crossbow is different now. They got more like moving parts on it and stuff with ammo counters on the bottom.
Oh, nice. Yeah, excited to see how that works. And I love this persistent gust. Just like it looks, even though the gust itself is moving faster than the traditional skin. It's a true like whirlwind. There, the explosive bolts.
That's cool.
Getting a little bit of fire action. That's what you need to slay beasts.
That's right, man. Absolutely.
Some fiery bolts there. Yeah, I love that. I love that little color scheme. And ooh, look at the effect underneath her whenever she dashes.
The ground effects with the little flames. Yeah,
that's really.
Yeah, this is my favorite one for her right now.
Yeah, that's really cool. Here's airstrike.
Cool airstrike.
The distinct hits of the airstrike
Yeah.
itself. Very, very cool there. From Jingwei. Love it from
That's cool.
Nightbane Jingwei. Let's take a listen to her voice pack.
Nice one, hotshot. Phenomenal. This is why they pay me.
Wow, I got loud.
Nice one, hotshot.
Wow.
Phenomenal. I'm going to cash in all of the bounties after today. Didn't you know? It's open season for witch hunting. The more vampires sparkle, the easier they are for me to hunt.
So she's still having fun
Yeah.
out there, but it's also more business. You know what I mean?
That could have been worse.
Yeah,
That could have been worse.
Yeah, exactly. She's out here making money. I respect the grind.
This is like an older version of her, right? Still keeping that fun narrative, but she's now like 10 years older than she was before. Or something.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
the voice
all right.
pack didn't
I like the little
completely
backstory
ruin
there,
the
Ben.
skin. That's all I
Tina's not here to
asked for
provide
a
it, so
voice
I
Yeah,
like the-
Tina
as long
really
as
wanted
the
to be like
voice
she
pack
just
doesn't
goes and
ruin
hunts
everything.
monsters and stuff and gets the bounties, like very typical kind of thing like that. I think we followed through pretty good.
Perfect.
The look
All
of the
right.
character.
Cherry Bomb Soul next up on the list. This is
I
the
wonder why
first
they
soul
made this
skin where
skin.
she's not just some sort of corporeal
yeah.
monster. Not a monster is a little harsh, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
I wonder
being.
what the inspiration
This is
for
the
this
first
skin
one
was.
where she's really looking human.
Yep.
almost.
Her real self.
Yeah, this is her humanized version of Soul. She's got a lot of, I'm guessing,
She's got a
pyro
she's
effects
got a
here.
lot
Yeah,
of
so
something.
the
dude.
trick
She's
with
got
her
a
was
whole lot of
she's like
something.
usually energy based, right? So and fire is the case there. So we wanted to be like a pyro technic kind of person, or
Yeah.
pyrokinesis is what we were
Pyrokinesis,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you can control fire and stuff like that, but kind of like
They wanted
she's
to
still a
launch
person, you know?
fireworks.
Okay, so she's got just some crazy powers going on. Looks
Yeah.
like she's got some tattoos as well. That can,
Yes. So the tats are like she's kind of like a punk kind of chick,
Yeah.
And whenever she starts doing the abilities, they'll flare up as
It
she
makes
does
me a little
stuff.
bit
It's pretty crazy.
uncomfortable,
Yeah,
honestly,
glowing,
to think of
she got
this
the
guy
flame boots that
designing
kinda
her.
help
It makes
propel
me a
her,
little
and
bit
that's kinda
uncomfortable.
how she
I sure
controls
hope
the fire.
somebody else was in
Fly.
charge of it.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got flame boots,
He's
then
like,
that's
you
what
know,
it is.
just
Like,
a little bit like a
everyone
punk
has
girl,
those.
and we just,
Has, ooh, that like really, that's
Like, it
very
makes me
dark for a
uncomfortable.
soul
I don't
skin.
like it.
But that,
I don't like
that's a really
it.
cool little effect, and yeah, you can see the hands are starting to glow, much like the regular version, but it has a bit of a different feel to it with this human form.
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. There's the stellar burst. Has it? The
little punk star?
effect? Yeah,
Yeah.
punk star. Yeah, she's all about the scene, man. And I can respect that. I can respect that. Very fiery.
Yep.
And wow, that is really fiery there with the tattoo.
I mean, the skin's
on that.
cool.
That is the tattoo that was
Like,
on
yep,
the back.
cool.
Right? That
Yeah.
same little design.
You caught that.
But I feel a
Yeah,
little bit
man.
uncomfortable. I feel
been
like
doing
this
it
is
for a while.
I feel
What
like this
can't
guy
I
a
do?
little bit designed
Let
a
me
little
tell
bit of
ya.
like a
Let's take a
fantasy
look at the
thing, and
ultimate.
it just makes me uncomfortable.
Supernova.
I feel like I would be playing this guy's
very, very cool.
like
Looking good there. Again, the
doll.
audio effects.
I don't
can
know,
really
man.
dig out.
I already feel uncomfortable.
Distinctive
feel
Cool
each
skin.
impact.
I do feel uncomfortable.
Very, very
but
much
just
so.
the way he talked about it.
Let's take a
I
look.
don't know.
Let's take a look at the voice pack here for Cherry Bomb Soul.
Wow, you are amazing. That was so hot. Just look at me. Loki's my sugar daddy. Fight
Yeah,
me.
see, it's
I see you judging from
it's
way
getting
over there.
worse. It's
Say it to my
it's not
face.
even a question anymore.
The only difference between a good girl and a bad girl is that good girls are more selective with who they're bad with.
It's getting worse.
I
It's
look at
literally
tattoos
getting
the
worse.
Same way I look at tattoos. I want one, but I can't decide what I want, and I don't want to be stuck with one I'm just gonna grow to hate and have to have surgically removed later. You know.
Yeah, I know.
This dude's got a private
Yeah, it's
There's
server
history here. Where that came
with
from.
just
Yeah, I,
Soul on it, and he gave her some
good for
custom
her and
AI.
Loki,
That's
yeah.
all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wishing the best of luck.
Congratulations, I suppose, to those two. Pup Patrol Cerberus is next up on the list, and man,
I'm very excited.
so
for this one.
stoked for this skin. It's so
It's one of my favorite
cute.
ones for sure.
It's so cute. If you thought we were done with the cute skins after
Oh,
the Ganesh, well, we like it was cute, and then we brought it to the badass, and now we're back to cute again.
Back to
now
cute.
with Pup Patrol.
So some Black Mirror
Cerberus.
stuff,
This,
exactly.
we usually get notes here on what to talk about.
Bunny!
My first bullet point for this one is speaks for itself, and I would
That's it.
tend to
That's
agree.
it. It's just cute, man. You got the little
Bubba!
snack up there.
His
happy
tail
snack?
is like a
Oh,
little
okay.
happy
So
snack,
cute.
dude.
He's
good.
like, he's so happy.
That's a sick
That
tail.
was the hardest part. Was fun, like doing the dog like in a nice puppy way that's like stylized and friendly. That was easy. How do you integrate a snake that doesn't look
Yeah.
hideous and creepy into that? That was
Right.
the trick here.
Well, I think you nailed it. That is a happy looking snake.
Yeah, I think originally we tried to make the tail another dog head, and that was just weird.
Yeah.
That just
there was a
weird.
sock puppet was another idea we tried to do.
Okay.
But yeah, it just didn't feel right.
Just didn't feel quite as good. I mean, it certainly has worked out with what you guys
He
asked
is a
for,
good
with this happy snake.
puppo.
A little bit. The happy effects even.
Yeah.
Oh, the panting on the ghastly breath. Is that what I just heard?
A little house, a little painting. So wait until you see the ult.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Here's
a big paw print. Yeah.
No, a little paw print there wherever he lands. Just everything is like so light, but it also has a little bit of a heftiness to it. I mean, Cerberus is a big.
He's a big doggo.
Good boy. Hold on, what was? I want to listen to that.
I'm gonna get him.
A very energetic puppy.
Oh yeah,
Yes, he is.
he's very excited.
He's young.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
if you have any experience
He's a little pupper.
being around young dogs, this is truly how they would like just
Nice.
out of control, can't control how excited they are about anything. That's what Pup Patrol Cerberus is for us here. He's got a VXG, so gotta check that out.
What a
for
good
sure.
puppo.
This is
One of
John's.
the best ones.
Oh my god.
There we go. So this was one. This was made by our artist Tori Clark. Yeah, we were just kind of brainstorming and what can this dog do, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? Butt scoot. Go with
butt
that.
scoot. Man,
Yep.
I'll tell you what.
Let's
I got to give a shout out. This reminds one of my
scoot.
best friend's dogs. We call her Pup. She just butt scoots everywhere. She's like
Yeah.
old. She's super old. It's still just butt scoots all the time. Shout outs to Pup. That reminds me of her. This is just amazing. I see that the collars got a little bit brighter whenever he activates the heads.
We didn't want to have
My
like,
goodness.
you know, in the original Cerberus, there's like these energy things that are on his neck that give it the tell for where things are at.
Right.
We wanted to do something a little
That's cool.
more tasteful and didn't like look like crazy coming out of this fluffy dog. So we figured we'd just highlight those kind of elements.
That is so cool. Yeah, and it even like changes color. It's
Yeah.
not just a
Good.
highlight, but
Yes.
it gives it some more effects. Does the bow tie normally have those polka dots, or does it only come?
They're there.
Okay, they
They
do.
just change up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a little bit
Pretty
softer
cool.
there for
Man,
Pup
there's a
Patrol
lot of
Cerberus.
freaking-
Take a listen to his voice pack.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Or
That's
we
a
can
lot
do
of
this. This is
rubbing.
fine too.
Oh,
I'm down with
man.
this too. Just zooming around the map, and this makes me sad that I can't do that in my real games. Let's
I'll
look.
be your best friend. Amazing! Amazing!
Holy cow, is this the AMC actor?
Oh, who's a good boy?
I think it is. I think it is the AMC actor.
I'm a good boy!
Yes, you are.
No, I'd be there first! How come I lick people, but they never lick me back?
It's gotta
I
be.
just want to be loved.
Snake
I
laugh.
love the snake laugh.
snake's
It's like doing a little dance
Yeah,
there. as we
it
head
feels
right back
weird
to
to
the
just
butt
hear
scoots
AMC
all around
come
the
out
map.
of Cerberus.
I'm sorry, but we have to move on.
Not a big fan of
eventually
that
from
voice
Pup Patrol
back.
Cerberus.
I'm a big fan
Because
of this,
Geek
though.
Beak Thoth is next. This skin, I mean,
All
if
right,
you
here we
follow
go.
Enna on Twitter, one of the premier artists here at hi-rez Studios, she's been messing with this sort of concept for a while now. This is the first skin from it. This is such a cool little aesthetic for him.
Oh yeah. I think when we would, and I think
He's
it was
holding
like a
a
fan
book
art
that
thing.
says
Yeah,
the
it was.
Incredible
and it was
Her.
like people loved it so much. We're like, oh, we gotta do a whole line of these. So this is the first one of that, and
Those shoes are clean.
I
my
love
guy.
the
Yeah,
book.
man.
Oh, he's
I
fresh.
love the
He's
niece on
styling
it
on
too.
it,
He
man.
really
I'm telling
is.
you.
I could take a couple fashion notes from this.
do you
man.
see the book right there? Anna also did that. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh
an
my, he's
actual
actually got
comic book that
stuff
she
in the
kinda drew
book
up.
too.
Whoa, no
and
way.
if you
Yeah.
see the inside of the
She
pages,
actually
are
drew up a
pages
comic book
from
for
the
that book.
comic
That's
that Anna
actually
wrote.
sick detail.
Oh, that's so
made,
cool.
so.
Yeah.
This is the Enna Thoth skin
Yep.
for you guys at home. And
That's
I'm
All
top
sure
proceeds
tier
go to
detail.
Anna.
Yeah, I'm sure she wishes, but I don't know if that's how that works. Certainly should though. Did a bunch of great work on it. Something about on her there is about the comic book. Is Geek Beak Thoth. It has a little the little brick effects. He's always in the city. You
Yeah.
know, he can't take the city out of the Thoth. That's how that works. Hieroglyphic Assault. Just very. These are like it's the usual hieroglyphic assault skins.
I don't
It's
hear the
like
sound at
very
all.
big and orby, but these are very clean, dictated,
Clean
like,
geometric
man.
shapes. Yeah, yeah.
Super trendy.
It's trendy.
Yeah, that's
what's
what it's
in.
all about.
Check out my tag.
check out my tag. It's a coffee shop window.
Oh my god,
that's so smart. Man, like sometimes
pretty
I feel
good.
like I've got good skin
That's pretty
ideas, and then
good.
I see the real skin ideas, and I'm like, I'm helpless. I'm never gonna be able
It's
to
always
match
great
this.
seeing like the effects artists kind of finding something thematic with the skins that are being made, right?
Yeah, the little lamp.
The little
Yeah,
lamps,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gives it some 3D texture. Oh man, that is so cool. I was like, is he gonna say it? Is it? That's
build
so,
up.
that's so good. That is so good. He's looking good, by the way, too. He's definitely been working on the frame. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He's, chill out, man. At the coffee shop.
He's got the tightest clothes.
With the tightest clothes. He's eating at the freshest restaurants.
Yep.
Pretty good.
The best
Suspenders
coffee.
and everything.
Starbucks, you know?
You already know he's hanging out with the
Starbucks.
hottest dudes.
I like
like
it.
he definitely is hanging out with those hottest dudes. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here.
Yeah, you're cool. Amazing, truly. I'm so hip. Yite! Yite!
Is that almost a yeet?
That is
Yikes.
almost
That
a
is
yeet.
close. That is dangerously close to yeet territory.
Dangerous.
Shop at
close.
a chain store. What? You never seen a messenger bag before? Why am I even playing this? This game isn't in beta anymore.
Wow.
Oh, this coffee is gross. Let me
They
guess. You
know.
didn't use filtered water that was heated to exactly 164 degrees, did you? Also, some spare tray.
Okay, so he looks cool, but he's kind of a jerk. Yeah.
Well, a little contrast.
He
Don't
knows
judge
what he
a book
wants.
by its
Yeah,
cover.
all right, fair enough. Fair enough. He knows what he likes. Yeah, we'll give him that credit.
Very frou-frou.
Very, very much. That's Geek Beak Thoth. Again, shout outs to Enna. This skin is dope. Speaking of dope skins, we've got another one for you. They just keep coming here on the update show. Half-Life Baron
When we
Zombie. I
got the
mentioned
first
this one
look at this
earlier
skin,
that
I
you
was
get this
not
skin by
super
completing
impressed,
the voodoo
so
portion of the Divine
see.
Uprising event. And oh no, you have to complete an event that gives you a ton of insanely good skins that are really cool. I'm so
Pookie.
sorry.
Don't you
for
dare.
you guys at
Don't
home.
you dare.
This is your reward. This is the we kind of did one Soul skin that we went over today, but Soul has a skin that reminds me of this one, the Meltdown Soul.
That's
Same
right.
sort of texture here.
Yeah, so that was the
I don't
inspiration of this. We're
particularly
man,
like
we like the look of him, but we like to do
the way
something
the
inside
skin
of the
looks
the
at all.
negative shapes
I
of
think
the
it takes
skin.
away
You know,
from
with that we
everything
have
that
the
makes
cool,
Baron cool.
skeleton paint.
Yeah.
What can we do to make that work? We're like, oh, you know what would be dope? That Soul Meltdown look, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a radioactive kind of feel to him, you know?
Yep.
You got the two snakes up there that are affected by that.
Yeah.
Yep, the radiation got to them. You sprouted two heads there.
Yeah, exactly. That's really. I love that idea. A little bit of a weird sort of skin here for Baron that fits him very, very nicely. The two snakes together. Still, the effectiveness of just one snake, however. Oh, I love that sound effect on the death gaze. Very cool. A little bit. This is gonna sound weird. It sounds like moist almost. Like,
It
yeah,
does
it's like you
sound,
got that
that's a
radioactive
terrible
goo.
word to describe
yeah.
it, but it does.
Right away. And there's, by the way, a
Moist.
little bit
Oh,
of change
God,
for
that's such a
Baron
bad
if you just
word.
missed it.
The
Groove the
passive.
hysteria.
Goodness.
Yep.
A little bit to the side, not quite on top of you anymore. Oh, that is so
The
cool.
atom bomb.
Yeah.
That is so cool. This is going to heal up your teammates, of course. As Consigned Spirits is a pretty good ability. The atom bomb going to everyone. Oh, that's so dope. I love it. Alongside Death Gaze. Wrap it up. You throw your two-headed snake and they get wrapped up. It should wrap up faster because there's two heads. You know what I mean? They should be able to work together.
Yeah.
We could put that in the notes, see what they do with it.
Oh, you just start
What
going
about
pay to
damn?
win?
No.
Yeah.
More
All
snake
right.
heads.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Here's the ultimate. Oh, that
got
little
like a-
box
New chamber. Yeah.
is so cool.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to be stuck in like the crypt, the whatever it's called, the coffin that he has
Yeah.
in his regular skin. I definitely don't want to be stuck in this radioactive chamber that he has here.
It's like a hyperbaric chamber thing. Like
Yeah, it's
that's
like
what he's got to go in there after every battle to
Yeah.
kind of get
Yeah,
that,
that's
you
where
know,
he
to
powers
stay
up.
alive still, you know?
Oh, that is so cool. I'm just biased. I think Baron is like the coolest god we've done in so long.
He's real cool. Yeah.
And then this like makes it even better.
And we gave him a modern style too. He still has that same kind of dapper look to him.
It
Yeah.
still fits his
Like,
personality,
it's
right? Being
fine,
all dressed
but
up,
I
being
don't know.
dapper.
I like
Very much
the
so.
regular
Little
Baron
king
skin, to be
and his
honest.
flask.
Little
on the-
flask.
Yeah.
Always high class for Baron every single time. We've got a VXG that's this. He surfs on the tank, is what it says here.
It's another one. Yeah, another
But-
VXG.
But the VXGs are always the best. This was Baron's original ultimate idea.
Yeah, so when Baron was being made for the first time, his ultimate, he was supposed to surf on the coffin, and then that's how he pulls enemies in, and then that he locks you into the coffin. But that kind of changed, so this was a throwback to the original design.
Oh, that's really cool. I love he's putting his hand out, you know what I mean? Like,
making the ground all messed up.
Our animator Jersey, they did a great job on this. He's kind of like, touching the radioactive wake style, kind of kicking up there.
Man, that is. I mean, you see that coming at you, and you're like, I'm in some serious trouble. This
at
man
least he
is
maintained
all
his
sorts
job.
of
That's
messed
what
up,
really
and he's
matters.
riding a nuclear coffin.
Yep.
So serious that he jumps up and hits you with the style.
Yeah, exactly. And then he still styles on you anyways. After that, this one really, really cool. Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Half-Life Baron.
I may have a place for you.
Whoa.
Terrific.
Whoa, he walked me out his lap.
I am become death, destroyer of worlds. Eureka! What a waste.
Oh, that's a really cool animation there. It's so very similar to his base version overall. In fact, can I see the back animation? I want to see if is it the same as what he's got on the default skin? It is. This is like my favorite thing about playing Baron. Every time I back, I'm like, damn, I look good doing it. Yeah.
You did the animation for that, right?
I did do that one. Yeah.
That is truly, not kidding, John, one of my favorite animations in the entire game.
It was a lot of fun to work on. Yeah.
It just makes me feel so good.
I mean, the other skins
every
I feel
single
like
time I do it. Again, you can get Half-Life Baron
like this is a
by
fine
completing
skin, but the other skin
Divine Uprising, the Voodoo portion of the Divine Uprising event. Again, if you're kind of losing track of what the Divine Uprising is all about, you're going to get a chance to get a Tier 5 Bologna skin at the very end of it. So you get all these 6 skins all throughout, and then there's a Tier 5 at the end as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me here. That does it for our skin section. And that basically does it for our update, or for the mid-season update show in general. This is a huge update. We always have a lot of fun with these mid-season. Thanks for joining us in this lengthy update show. And as Isaiah mentioned on the desk, make sure you get out and play on that